Jobob, welcome to the podcast, man.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for coming and taking the time to be on, dude. We've been planning this for a while.
Yeah.
You have been to the brewery, so thank you.
Yeah, dude.
I appreciate that. I think you did I won't say special, but you did stand up
comedy night there.
Yeah, you did a comedy night.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Oh, nice.
It was really fun. Yeah.
Heck yeah, I love it, dude. But yeah, man, thank you so much for coming on. We're really excited about this. You have such a diverse background, which we really love. It sounds like you were a political consultant for a while, and then now you're with Turning Points. You also have the Daily Caller. You have a lot going on, and you're a stand-up comedian. You got a lot going on, dude.
And just so that it's known, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm flying by the seat of my pants the entire time.
This is going to be great because
that's exactly how we do this podcast.
So it's kind of funny. The first major career, I was a political consultant for like a decade. And so what that means is you run races. And people kind of think like, oh, the president has a campaign manager and senators. It's like, yeah, but also the local school board and the water municipal districts have races that they have to run. Right. And so people run those races. I was doing video work for a long time. And a family friend was wanting to run for city council. And they were like, hey, can we do a video? And I was like, yeah. I had no idea how to do a political campaign commercial.
I love it.
And so I did a video and I sent it to her and she's like, great. Like, what do I do with this? I don't have money for TV ad buys.
Right.
And so I started running online social media campaigns, and that got to a point where I got one of the bigger names in California politics at the time by the name of Travis Allen. He ran for governor in 2018. I got a call from him saying, hey, do you run digital ads for campaigns? And at the time, I did not, like at all. And yeah, I said, yeah, of course I do. 100%.
Yeah, of course.
And actually, oh geez, I'm bearing the lead here. So I know the T word is a showstopper with the I don't know.
Tough?
No, the orange guy. The orange gentleman.
Oh, what is the Harry Potter?
He must not be named.
Yeah, Voldemort.
I understand that he's a difficult person to tiptoe around, especially if you don't want to get delve into politics so much. I was sitting at my house one day, and I was still doing like video and photography, and I got a call from a guy who said, hey, are you still doing photography? And I said, yes. And long story short, he needed a VIP photographer for then candidate Donald Trump and all of the VIPs coming to this rally. No. And so I did it a couple times. It was me and Trump sitting there taking photos. Wow. And like, look, politics aside, like I understand people have like really harsh feelings, and I get that. He was fine. He was a pleasant dude. Like he was cool.
Yeah, like can carry a normal conversation.
Was a normal guy. Was a normal guy and also remembered things. So like Secret Service has, I'm getting like, this is tangent after tangent after tangent.
No, we love it.
You're
fine.
Yeah,
you're good.
So the Secret Service has local offices. They have field offices. So when he would come to Southern California, when I would do photography or the photos for him, the Secret Service has like local spots that they have the team that travels with him, and then they have the on-the-ground people in their local areas. So the LA office or Orange County office, whatever it is, the couple rallies that I did were not back-to-back. They were like couple months apart. And I remember him remembering one of the Secret Service guys from the local LA branch that he hadn't seen in months, and asked him, like, how's your wife doing? Because he told him his wife was sick. And so all that's to say is, like, personable guy. Yeah. Again, regardless of what you think about the politics and policy aside, I was like, why do you remember that? Like, why did you remember that thing about that particular individual? Yeah. And that was crazy. Anyways.
No, that's really cool because you know what? You can guarantee that Joe Biden wouldn't be able to. I mean,
so true.
I just want to say that.
Can somebody explain the bell?
Oh, yeah.
It's just when something good set. We just kind of hit it, dude. Yeah, that's it.
So, there's no rules.
No, there's no rules, dude.
It's more of a feeling thing than a parameter thing.
We just go for it, dude.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Biden would be lost, dude. I don't even think he knows he's on planet Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Probably.
Maybe.
I mean, optics-wise,
dude,
I'm hoping there's more there.
Okay, so here's the thing. Again, not getting into like policy and anything, but people around the president, the current president, need to know his problems. Like it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. He had to, for some reason, acknowledge some Asian people. And they had really difficult to pronounce names. And I'm sitting here thinking, whose idea was it for him to get up there and say, Sheng Li Wu and Sha? Of all the things, your team has to be better than that. Who the hell is still putting that guy on a bike? Like, he was riding around on a bike last week.
Yeah.
Stop
They're
doing
like, see,
that.
he can. He can. It's a thing. You know, just why they slow shot the, I feel like they for sure have like an 8-second delay on any climbing stairs shots with him.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know.
So, sorry, to get back on track, because I hate being that person that like goes on so many tangents that I don't finish the thing.
We know how to bring it back. You're good.
So I did photos for Trump, and then this guy named Travis Allen, who was an assembly member at that time, was like, hey, I'm going to run for governor. And I get a call from him, and he says, hey, I heard you do photos for the Trump campaign, which is like tangentially true. Like a couple times I did. He asked like, oh, you're doing all the things, right? And I was like, yeah, totally. And then he said, do you also run his social media? And I said, 100%. Yeah. And I did not, by the way.
Yeah.
Dude, I love your style. I love your style.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Keep Travis was a great guy, and he trusted me a lot. And so I went from, running like local races to running a governor's campaign. Now, obviously, we ended up losing, but I spent an exorbitant amount of money on like Facebook ads and understanding how ads are bought in terrestrial buys, TV, radio, but also social media ad buys. And so that's the politics. Like I got into that whole thing kind of chaotically. And then about 2 years ago, I kind of wanted out of the day-to-day grind with politicians, because politicians are difficult.
I would say it's got to be different to work in that realm. I couldn't do that.
Well, it's a certain type of person that runs for political office, and that type of person does not know boundaries. Like they'll call at 1 in and be like, "Hey, I got to be on a TV show at 6. Can you cut this clip for me?" It's like, this is in 5 hours, and it's the middle of the night. Like,
no, you're like, no,
that's crazy.
Well, but you don't have any other option.
Yes,
like,
I guess.
Right.
Like, and so I from there, my wife and I sat down and I asked, hey, can I like try out this like on camera stuff? Because I had never done that before. And
when we say on camera, kind of like what we're doing now. Is that what you're saying?
Kind of. So
stuff you're putting up on your social media right now?
Yes, but I also, I had a background in video and like ad buys and all that sort of stuff. So my wife said yes, because I said, look, this is like a life change, and I'm not really sure I want to do this, but if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it hard. Yeah. And so I ended up starting shooting videos in a studio I built in my garage.
I love it.
And then sent a blind email to the Daily Caller, which is, if you don't know what the Daily Caller is, founded by Tucker Carlson in like 2011, and his best friend / partner still owns it. Sent a blind email to them, and they were like, yeah, we'll take your show on. And so they started airing the show that I was filming in my studio garage.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah, dude.
You just went for it. You said, you know what? What do I got to lose? I'm going to send this email, and you got a show out of it.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I love it, dude. That's how it's done.
So this is complex, but I think like I wasn't. Okay, so in the media game, which I'm now pretty familiar with.
Yeah.
There are different priorities. My priority at the time, I understood that I was a nobody. I still understand that I'm a nobody. I will go do, like, if somebody says, hey, can you come do this thing? I'm there. A lot of people I know in this industry from the very beginning will be like, no, I'm too big for that. I'm too good for that. And I don't want to put people down or bash anybody.
Right.
But there's a lot of ego, and that kind of makes sense, because it takes an ego to go on TV and try to espouse your opinions.
Right.
And so with that, I think the reason why Daily Caller gave me a shot is like, I don't need any money. I told them, I don't need any money. I am nobody. Just help me with the exposure. Yeah. And they were like, hold on, so we get to air a show for free? Like, sweet.
You're like, duh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I did that for a couple months, and then somehow convinced them to do a live show every day on their on their Facebook page, which has 7 million followers. And so every day I was going live.
Good for you, dude.
Yeah, and so then from there I got asked to go do on a Turning Point talk show, and got out to Turning Point, which if people aren't familiar with that, it's a grassroots kind of conservative organization.
Love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
big follower here.
Yeah, so I got to go do the couch there, and meanwhile too, know that I thought it was as crazy as everybody else thought it was. It just happened to be happening to me.
Yeah. Right.
Like I think a year in, I got an email. Do you guys know who Candace Owens is?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got an email saying, "Hey, my name is so and so. I do the booking for Candace Owens. We'd like to have you on her show." Wow. And I was like,
sick.
Wow.
This is a joke, right? Like this is not real that this is happening. And like every single step has been like, how is this happening to me?
Yeah.
Like, and so I kind of think, and I hope to kind of keep that mentality as long as I can, because I think it's been pretty good, because like I said, there's a lot of egos in this thing.
Yeah.
And I humble brag, I guess, try to stay humble.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it can so quickly go away. And I still think all of this stuff is nuts. This last spring, so about a year after going on the Candace show, I was on tour with Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens at all of these colleges. And that's
No kidding.
I'm going back on tour with them in the fall.
And so what were you doing? Like political commentary?
So politics, commentary in politics, especially on the conservative side of the aisle, is dull. The whole reason I got into the on-camera thing is because I told my wife, I was like, look, we are not good at making politics enjoyable. There's
a very good point.
There's a saying in the consulting world, but also just in politics in general, if you're explaining, you're losing. And the problem with a lot of freedom-oriented, less government-oriented ideas and ideology is it takes nuance, right? It's easy to say everyone deserves housing or health care for all. That's all easy.
Right.
The problem is when you get to like, okay, well, how's that going to work?
Right.
And so that's the stuff I advocate for. But I looked at the scope of everybody in that and was like, all of these people are either boring or furious all the time. And that's fine. People have their lanes and people have what they like to listen to. But there was no, hey, let's make fun of it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my lane. And so to get back to the tour stuff, all of the big stops that Turning Point does, they do fantastic work with that regard. Like they either have Charlie Kirk speaking, Candace speaking, they're a bunch of top level speakers. But I think what was kind of missing was this like levity. And so I would get up there for 5 or 10 minutes before the main speaker got up and would like tell a couple jokes. Actually, this particular tour, I went up and said, I'm going to pull somebody out of the audience. And I would pull somebody out of the audience. And then I'd say, like, I'm going to do a death-defying stunt. Something you've never seen before in the modern world.
Jobob.
I am going to guess this person's gender.
The crowd go,
Yeah, dude.
Oh, dude. And I would get up there and I'd say, like, Kelsey is a woman, and 1,000 people would go nuts.
yeah.
And it was
So genius.
but it was a joke, but it was
Right.
also like, look, this is like, apparently we're supposed to have difficulty recognizing things that are obvious.
Right.
But anyways, all that to say is I think that helped lead into the keynote speaker, who, again, this particular tour was either Charlie or Candace, to kind of have that audience like loose and laughing at their jokes. Because Charlie makes funny jokes. Candace makes funny jokes. But sometimes people aren't in the mindset to receive a joke.
Right.
And so nobody laughs.
Right, and especially with the delivery of the concepts of what they're talking about. And I'm big fans of those folks. And but having that kind of mindset going into it where you can like use levitate, or maybe levitate.
Levity.
Yeah, like, I'm using magician slash comedian.
I did not make anybody levitate.
I made levitation and but either way, like setting the mindset up in that way, because it's like a lot of times, especially with Charlie Kirk, I think he's a pretty funny dude, and but he's very quick.
He's so
and it goes right back into the meat, right?
Yeah.
So I think kind of having that reset is very important. Plus, like you kind of touched on it, the traditionally conservative view politics are like your great grandparents' age, if you come from that family's kind of sector. And it's one, always boring. Two, they're always represented by really old, like kind of crotchety looking white dudes. And, I think this movement in the last few years really has taken up because you have now that kind of, you can make fun of it. You can be real about it. And there's so much material right now. I feel like you're not going to, like, it never ends, dude.
So you want to, okay, you're probably going to like this story. So how I got there, right? Because I recognize that it was a big deal that, like Charlie said, trusted me enough to say, hey, come on the road.
Absolutely.
So how that happened, we were at our Young Women's event, the Turning Point Young Women's event, and this is June of 2022, so last year. And this is at the height, like right at the beginning and upward trajectory of Matt Walsh's What is a Woman documentary. Ooh. Right. It was right then.
Yeah, boy.
So, so Saturday night comes around and so it's the height of it. So Matt is going all over the place, talking, doing speeches, this and that. And so I don't know where he was coming from, but he was the keynote speaker. Him and Charlie were going to have a conversation, and that was going to be like the keynote address for the entire event. This is at like 7 o'clock on Saturday, I think. At about 6:45, we're backstage. Charlie says, hey, to me, he's like, Matt's going to be an hour late. Can you go up on stage and kill 20 minutes?
Oh, dang.
Context.
Hand me the mic.
I had been doing stand-up at open mics for a while, but like never in front of more than 15
Well, when you
people.
say for a while, like when did you start doing stand-up? When did you like...
My first ever time, I think, trying it, because it's been on and off, probably 2013.
Okay, so that's some time. That's time.
But never in front of more than 15 people.
Okay.
And now I'm at an event opening for Matt Walsh in front of 2,500 people with jokes that I've never tried before in front of an audience of, again, more than 10.
I love it, dude.
Oh, man.
I love it.
And so,
sink or swim, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. Yeah.
What other choice do you have?
Dog.
Like, well, the other option was like to tell Charlie, no. Like, I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak on the biggest platform you've ever spoke on. These are being streamed. This audience is crazy huge. Right. They're all here for the biggest thing in our movement right now. And he said, go talk for 20 minutes.
Go kill it.
Yes, I'll do that. And so that ended up leading to, okay, so like this guy can be pretty funny in front of a crowd. And that's how I got there.
Did you have some time to prep for that, or was it kind of like, hey, in 20 minutes you got to go on?
Yeah, I had about 15 minutes.
Okay,
they sent up two of the other contributors who were talking about Second Amendment stuff.
Yeah.
And I was in the back, somewhat panicking a little bit.
Yeah. Dude, did you walk out there? You're like, he's like, I like guns, girls are girls, and FJB, let's go. You probably got, you get a couple claps out of that. Be like, okay, all right, we can start from here.
Let's be real, dude. If I was put in that position, I don't know if I could pull that off. I would be absolutely terrified.
So I was. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, dude, I had it in the bag. Yeah. Like, dude, I still go to these things. And like, we were at, Candace and I were at LSU in this auditorium with like 1,200 seats, and the thing is packed. There's a line outside after the thing is packed.
Wow.
And I'm sitting here going like, this is not normal.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what? Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I don't want to pretend that I like have become accustomed to this sort of stuff, because it's still crazy to me.
Oh, I love it though.
So
I mean,
I don't know.
the opportunity presented, and you stepped up and you made it happen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I would say like you definitely were prepared for it. I mean, you put some work in.
I had stuff in my back pocket.
Yeah,
I didn't just come up with stuff there.
Right. It's not like you didn't have any experience telling, having comedy or being on camera. You're very well spoken.
Thanks.
I'm sure, like you have a bachelor's degree?
I do.
Where'd you go?
I went to Azusa Pacific.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that what initially got you like interested in politics?
Not at all. No.
What'd you go to LSU for? Or LSU, ASU.
APU.
APU.
God, yeah.
Hey, you said that. I said magician or something. All right, Sam, you got to come in with this.
Making people levitate. I was a business major. It had nothing to do. Dude, you know what I actually think it was? And I'm thinking about this out loud. I haven't actually thought this through, so this could be just wrong. But I ran for vice president of the student body in my senior year and ended up winning. And I got up there.
I can see him winning.
Well, but I wasn't paying attention to like big national politics. I got up there and promised stuff that I had no business promising.
Yes.
They're like, this guy's got potential.
And it worked. And so I think subconsciously it clicked there.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I don't even remember what I said, but I got up there and just rambled for 15 minutes and like did the whole Obama at a rally in Ohio, like tie with the rolled up sleeves and just tried to be charismatic.
Yeah.
And
I'm just a normal guy.
yeah.
Wanting normal things like you in every fountain.
Dude, I wish I could like pull the clip up, but Obama's entrance into the 2008 Democratic Convention is like the reason I'm in politics. Like,
really?
It was moving. If you ever get a chance to watch it, like try to policy and whether or not you like the guy is irrelevant. The way that they pulled that off, like I still get chills watching it. They have this fantastic video laid out. And then he walks out and there's like a swirling overhead camera that comes through. The music playing is like some U2 song that's just like you get tears welling up in your eyes. And then they cut to Michelle Obama, who's just looking so proud. And like he sits there and like takes it all in and it is freaking awesome. And then you watch Romney come out, and it is one shot of
boring.
a dude's face as he walks out, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
And so, like, my I guess, overall goal is, like, how do we recreate that feeling that I have still for good ideas, not for bad ideas?
That's interesting you say that. I was in London at that time.
Okay.
In 2008, yeah.
Yeah.
I was playing guitar, helping out a band.
Nice.
Crazy, yeah. It's just,
Dude.
that's another story, but yeah.
That's awesome.
Long time ago. And then I got a job with the fire department, and I was like, I got a steady paycheck. I'm out of here.
Yeah, dude.
And like going to what you were saying, man, like, and that's what I think that was a lot of the allure with Obama is that one great speaker, the way he projects himself, cool guy, right? Someone you can be like, you're like, damn. You know, when he talks, he controls the room, right? It's a little witty, smooth talker, you know, like what I think a lot of people embody as a representative of the group as in government, right? You're like, damn, seems like, you know, now this again, policy aside, right?
Yeah.
And, but that's, I think the goal of like, well, I would think that would be the goal of, you know, groups of like, hey, this is the next guy, you know, and I know Trump, maybe depending on your views on him, right, doesn't fit that as far as smoothness goes. But and I don't mean that in a negative way either. Because I like the braggadociousness. I think me personally, I'm like, if you can call an individual whatever you want to call them because they're ego driven, you want to be the best at everything that you do day in and day out. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing to have that be the desire of the person running the country, like to be the best. Yeah. Right. So whatever that means. Right. So what. Non-party aside, but you know, but that's I think why the kind of culture shock in between. We went from 8 years of that smooth talking, kind of held up this persona.
The traditional type of president, right?
Well, I mean, I would say
maybe
Obama was more of like the next phase of presidents, as in like being a guy that like people are like, oh, you know, like as far as. Yeah, like non-policy driven, right?
Yeah.
So, but then you have Trump, where I liked a lot of his policies, and I liked the kind of aggressive banter, but then I also didn't like the aggressive banter when it just never stopped. So, you know, I mean, that's me personally, totally. You know what I mean? But anyway.
I mean, I feel like this is one of the problems with just politics in general. You know what shouldn't matter at all? Who the president is.
Thank you.
Like in theory,
Totally agree.
Well, in theory, like Congress, you should care who's in Congress, because Congress, if you look at the way the country was designed, Congress runs the country. They decide what the president should do, and the president is solely there to execute policy. And over the past 30, 40 years, It has not gone that way at all. The president, the executive branch, has absorbed more and more and more power. So now the president does matter. But in the scope of how the country was created, like, who cares? Yeah. As long as that particular individual is doing the things he is tasked, or she is tasked with doing by the Congress, it shouldn't matter. But now we're so far past that to where the executive has all the power.
Well, you know what? Also, I've seen a lot of people throwing, which I think is fair. Mm-hmm. I won't say throwing a fit, but throwing up red flags is, why are all these people in their 80s and 90s telling us and putting out new laws and stuff? You know, that you can. People make these videos. I'm kind of like, well, I mean, yeah, there's a little point there.
Are you asking why it is that they're old?
It's like they hold on to that power.
Well, the actual reason is because people don't care. Like people, like, think about
what?
Yeah. The populace does not care, and I wish that weren't the case. I think most of the problems get solved when people start caring. And so the objective, in a lot of ways, I think, should be to get people to start caring. And what I mean by that is, if you're going to look at this. The 2020 presidential election was the biggest election we've ever had in terms of turnout.
Yeah.
Most people didn't vote. If you think about that. Now, granted, there's a lot of people under 18 that couldn't vote, but 160 million people cast votes for the president. There are 330 million people in this country.
Are we talking about the dead vote people?
I was like, do we really want to go there? Because I'm in.
No, keep going. Please keep going.
No, but that's part of the problem too. Is that there's so many people that are just apathetic and don't vote.
Yeah.
That, you get people that are getting in and continuing to win just based on name recognition alone.
Yeah.
Like, Nancy Pelosi only gets reelected. Well, one, because she's a monster fundraiser. She's probably not the best example, but
the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's like, man,
the
old Crypt Keeper. Huh? She's still winning.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know how.
I don't know either.
Yeah, but I mean, she's. Anyway, I don't want to go there. She does a very good investments. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, dude. What's that? Nancy
Her stocks,
Pelosi,
dude. Nancy Pelosi stock picks, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah, where her husband's won Warren Buffett over the last 12 years.
Yeah, dude.
I'm sure that.
Well, no, he's just a fantastic investor.
Yeah,
like, that's the only thing there.
When I need to be.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man.
How do you go into politics making $120,000 a year? And now you're worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
A lot of people go to DC to do good and end up doing well. That's
that's good.
I mean, that's not an original. That's not an original.
Oh, it's not okay. I was like, bro, I'm using that. I'm using that.
No, you can use that all you want. It's not mine.
And I think that's just probably the normal, the normal progression of it. Because like when you're new into it and you want to change things and you're fired up and you take a handful of these, just younger up and comers, right? Whatever side of you want to go in, but energetic, right? I think slowly the bureaucracy will beat down that confidence over a period of time, but the goal is to maintain that, like they're go-getters, they're this, because that is what you bank on 8 years from now. That riding the wave now of like, I'm gonna fix the world's problems and I got all the energy to do it. Because once you're in the system and you realize how the system works, and I use the bureaucracy term because everything gets cut down and nothing ever gets done at the same timeline, price, etc. Whatever, we can talk about that all day. But that's what you hope for. You hope that in a couple years from now, when you see my face and you're like, oh, he was that go-getter. It doesn't matter what I'm saying. You just liked me. Right. And, then I'll make some insider trading tips, dude.
Yeah. What is it? People don't vote on what they know. They vote on how they feel. And so that's a huge part of it. But like, to your point, I do think that there are a lot of people that go to DC like thinking they're going to make a change. Yeah. And I think what happens is this pivotal moment when they're sitting in their office and they start losing their mind saying, none of these people effing care about anything. Why would I not just enrich myself? Yeah. I think that's ultimately what happens. Up until when she first got into office, AOC was my favorite politician. She was wrong about everything.
Absolutely.
But she cared. Like she was like, I am going to fix things. Now she's gone wayside by this point of just kind of like getting in the money and all that sort of stuff. But at the beginning, like, she was genuine. which you don't see that as often.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, policy-wise, yes, you're wrong about damn near everything. But she like wanted to make a change, which was something that you kind of liked.
You know what gets me with AOC is her eyes, man. She's
Oh,
always
you one
like
of those
this.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
one of
when
those
she's
people?
talking, her eyes. I'm like, yo, dude, like, bring it down a notch and relax. You're gonna have a stroke, man.
You don't think she's cute? I've gotten heat for this. I think AOC's cute.
I wouldn't say she's ugly.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like,
You know
I'll be
what?
honest, you know.
Let's go. We'll all take heat for this. We have talked about this, and
Okay.
yes, I'm just gonna say this. We have all agreed that she's very good looking.
Mm-hmm.
But when she starts talking, you're like,
well, what she says or
just
how her
en-
voice sounds.
You just envision the argument.
what she says, not her voice. Not her voice. I would say it's just what she's saying. Sometimes you're like, what? What are you talking about, dude?
Could you imagine getting yelled at by someone like that? You'd be like, I gotta go.
And was that the question though, or I thought we were talking about physical appearance?
No, physical appearance. Let's go physical appearance.
Oh, we're getting in. I'm like,
We're
I
gonna
went
go
like 10 years down the
strictly-
relationship
yeah,
line.
no, strictly
Esoteric.
physical appearance. I mean, I think she's good looking.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whatever, dude.
I think people that don't think that are wrong and super ideological.
They're like, how could you? She's a Democrat.
Yeah,
like, dude. Politics aside, I was like, hey, she's
Yeah.
good looking.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, and and good for her, and good for everyone that's younger and trying to push hard in the politic game. I think it's good, and I hope it starts the trend of like pushing out a lot of these old timers that I personally don't agree with, and I think, but this is the time where we're at, right? We are in that kind of changeover period where it's like the legacy politicians. I don't know how long they're going to live for, but a couple of them. I mean, dude, Feinstein doesn't even have power. Well,
Her granddaughter has power of attorney.
okay, I don't know if that's 100% true, so I'm not saying it like it's truth. I read something that made it sound like she doesn't have power over attorney, but yet she's still the final vote on a lot of stuff. There's a little clip that was floating around.
yeah.
They were like, Diane, say yes.
yeah. Oh no, yeah.
Okay, yes, I agree with this.
You can't make
But what I'm getting at is that let's get past that. Because I feel like that's a bad representative of the group, and if I was like an alien looking from outer space at how everything's working down here, I'd be like, wow, the hell's going on over there?
You want to know? You guys might not like this fix, but I feel like one of the things that could be done pretty easily to get people to pay more attention is broaden the tax base. I'm not advocating for more taxes, but the majority of Americans do not pay federal income tax. And now I don't want to pay federal income tax. I'm not making that argument. But if I have to, everybody should. If you make $10,000 a year, you should pay something. Because once you pay something, now you have skin in the game.
Right.
And if
oh, yeah.
and if 60% of Americans aren't paying federal income tax, why would they care how much money goes to Ukraine?
Whoa,
Why would they
wait a
care?
minute. Did you say 60% aren't paying?
It's something like that. Look
It's up there. It's more than
it's
half.
like
Are
it's
you
more than
freaking
half.
kidding me?
Yeah, don't pay federal income tax.
But if I don't pay for a couple years, I get hit with penalties and possible prison time.
Yep. Yeah, because you're a good American. We don't like those here. No, you're a good American.
So do you think that the idea of having
Flat tax?
flat tax rate,
Yeah,
you don't have to give a percentage, out of curiosity.
See, I like the idea of a flat tax rate. I like the idea of taxation is theft across the board. But if we're going to have a tax, I like flat tax. One of the issues with flat tax is deductions and incentivizing businesses to spend money. Because if I am a business owner and I have to pay a flat tax of my overall income, I'm going to deduct everything I can down to where I'm making $0 every year, or I'm losing money and probably won't pay any money on that, which then you get into the thing of like, okay, so if this person who brought in $500,000 in revenue is paying zero income tax because he deducted everything down, and it's a flat tax, and the person making $20,000 a year is paying whatever their percent. Like, it gets complicated. Is all I'm trying to say.
Oh, yeah.
But
no.
I liked flat tax.
And I agree with you. Just the because it can't be the same from top to bottom with the flat tax
probably
approach,
not.
right?
Yeah.
Because of exactly what you're explaining. I just think if you, or even an increase on sales tax to a certain extent, right? It's like, so you're recouping costs somewhere along the line from the people that are backdooring the system and not contributing their portion. So you're getting it from I guess I don't know if that's a good way to say that, but what I'm getting at is that you can kind of encapsulate a little bit more versus just riding on the federal tax income.
Yeah. Well, and I think, again, if more people are paying, if more money is coming out of more people's pockets, which, again, I'm not an advocate for taxes. I'm just saying, if every single person had skin in the game, you have an entirely different country, I think, overnight.
I agree with you.
People that pay attention.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Yeah.
Well, I think they'll start paying attention.
Right.
Because they'll see it in their, like, so many people don't pay anything because they're under that threshold, and you have, the $24,000 standard deduction nowadays. And so, like, most people don't pay anything. And if they were to, like, I would start caring more. I do care now, but if I didn't care at all, and then all of a sudden, hey, what's this 10% thing that I'm paying? What is that even for?
Yeah.
I would start caring.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I don't know. I my younger life, I could give two shits about politics.
Of course.
I did not care
Yeah.
whatsoever. Politics to me was something that I knew. I had two sets of grandparents that had political different spectrums.
Oh, really?
So all I knew is that when we had a family get together where
Yes.
these people would be in the same room,
Yes.
it would get everyone would be hammered and a lot of crazy things would be said.
Yes.
Which was very entertaining. But, that's my extent of politics. And it wasn't until I started making money
Yeah.
and then started wondering why I'm paying so much into these other things. And that was right around, when did Herman Cain run?
999.
Yeah.
I think 12 maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't remember specifically.
And he was the one that got me interested in politics because I
Yeah.
was tripping about money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm paying into the system.
Yeah, this sucks.
I don't see the roads aren't nicer. I don't see, I'm not getting anything that I keep hearing about, which obviously, I'm in a fortunate position. Like, like things worked out for me. But at the end of the day, it was kind of like, where is my money going? And not everyone feels that way, clearly. Otherwise, we would have what you're talking about. But whether that's broadening the spectrum or bringing in some kind of taxation process where it's going to encapture everybody instead of just the people that decide to pay taxes.
Well, you know what that does too? Like, I say this to my more liberal friends, and I have quite a few of them, do you know how much more the government as a whole could do if you eliminated the waste? Like, if there was, like, honest to God, we could cut 50% of the federal government and nobody would notice.
100%.
Like,
100%.
And so I tell them, all that money is already there. And if you cut the waste out, you could give more people healthcare. You could give more people better schools or better this or that. All of the social programs that you really, really want. If you become a fiscal hawk, that helps your cause. But right now, like, you look at someone like me who's so jaded with the tax system as it is and just government spending as a whole, you're not going to get me on board any new social program. Like, I hate it all because they're like, no, we're already wasting this much money. But if those people, the people that want those social programs, were leading the charge to clean up all the waste, I would be more open-minded to, okay, I trust you to do this thing effectively, and therefore let's give it a try. But now I'm like, I don't believe that you're going to have any sort of responsibility when it comes to spending my money, so I'm not going to give you any more than I already am legally required to.
I love talking about this because it's like the little bit of insight that I feel that I have with how governmental systems work. On a low end, right? So local government more specifically. I've had opportunities to see what allocations of funds and being talked about goes towards, so we'll use roads. It's a safe one.
Yeah.
It doesn't offend anybody. But, when it's like, okay, if you do this and we pay this, we're going to get this much. And then, hey, we're going to fix the streets.
Yeah.
Right? Well, then you find out that it's like, okay, they got a grant for, let's say it's $10 million. Like, to me, as an idiot, $10 million sounds like a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, dude, we could do the whole city's going to be, no more potholes, baby. I've had to change 3 tires,
And they fixed a curb.
Yes. But that's what it
Accurate,
is.
dude.
And then when you talk, you start, if you have the opportunity to kind of talk to people and see how this money goes, it's like, okay, yeah, they were allocated $10 million. And then that group had to create another group that's like a subcommittee
Yeah.
And that committee has a subcommittee that generates out to 3 different or 4 different contractors because they have to hit a quota of the amount of people. Well, 3 of those people in the subcommittee know 2 of those contractors, so you got to wait to get this outbids this person, this outbids this person. In the meanwhile, that chunk of money that you had at one top starts getting siphoned off into other things.
Yep.
Right? So once the project is about ready to have, you started with 10 million and maybe now you have 800,000. That's an egregious drop off, and I'm making these numbers up, but it's
not far off.
But what I'm saying is that when I talk about bureaucracy and the red tape and all these other jargon words, that's the reality of the system, and that's what I think draws people away from from really believing that the government can actually help you. That if you take that next step of looking into it. Now, unfortunately, most people will take things as they are. Right. If you say that I'm here to help, I assume that because you're in that elected position that you are on top of it. And that's just not how shit is.
It's the opposite.
Yeah, it absolutely is the opposite,
Yeah.
right? And and that's the unfortunate part. And because I feel very similar to a lot of social construct things that are out there. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of them. And that's because of what I'm talking about. Is that you want to talk about helping homeless people. You want to talk about getting them off the streets, getting them back in jobs, getting this. It's like I happen to work hand in hand with a ton of homeless people. And I can assure you that that's not happening. And we're not seeing it. And I mean, from, profession wise, out there, first responder, I don't ever see that. And it's really funny when you see, Newsom talk about this homeless crisis and drugs and all these other things. And they talk about the millions of dollars that we're raising and you got to do your part and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, that doesn't change, at least on my perspective. And I feel like I have an abnormal perspective than the average person.
I want to ask both of you because I feel like... So we just finished shooting a documentary for the Daily Caller. I think it's going to be called Lawless, but I'm not sure we're settled on that title. But we went to Austin, New York, and Los Angeles, and kind of were documenting the crime there. And what I think we ended up actually doing is documenting the homelessness problem in those cities, because that's what effectively it is. The crime problem and the homeless problem go hand in hand. And one of the arguments that I heard from a guy in Austin, and I think he's right, is he was the first person that I had heard to push back on the idea of housing first. Like, that's a big thing, especially in California. I'm sure you guys have heard this, but housing first, housing first, housing first. He was like, that doesn't work. Like, all of the data would point to the fact that housing first doesn't work. Treatment first would hopefully get somebody in the headspace to be able to hold the housing. But if you're doing them backwards, like, what incentive does anyone have to maintain that housing? So, like, from your jobs, I guess, what run-ins do you have? Like, do you have any perspective on the whole housing?
Yeah, I mean,
tons of perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I know that we have one of the biggest homeless shelters in, I think, the U.S. in Orange County. I believe it's in Santa Ana. It's 2-story.
Really?
It's actually nice. I was in it recently.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very big. Very big, and they let their animals in with them and everything.
Did that? I don't know, but I know a lot of Orange County cities pushed back hard on the putting homeless shelters in their area. Did they just consolidate and say we're going to do a massive one in Santa Ana?
Yeah, it's a big concrete tilt-up style building. It's a commercial building. It's very big.
Interesting.
It's huge, and we're trying to be careful here because we don't put too much about what we do, but there's a lot of times where we have a lot of run-ins with the homeless people.
Yeah.
And with our job, whether you're homeless or you're the richest person, we're going to treat everyone with respect.
Of course.
And so we actually start to get to know them. Well, we drive down the street, run a call. Hey, there's Ron. There's Ron from Oregon or whatever.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we start talking to them, and a lot of times recently, hey, where are you from? Oh, well, I was. I'm from Mississippi, or I'm from Texas. I'm from Washington. I'm from Orange County, or from Oregon.
Yeah.
And they ship them down here because we take care of them in California.
I heard
they get free stuff.
Sanctuary state.
I heard, and I don't know that this is actually true, but somebody I know that possibly lives in South Orange County possibly may have heard of somebody picking up homeless people and dropping them off in Santa Ana.
From South Orange County?
I don't know. I have no idea. I just not
maybe they wanted a ride.
A government agency, not just some random dude picking up homeless people.
I see.
No. Yeah,
there was. I'll say this. I ran into someone recently, and they still had their hospital tag on their arm and a gown. I'm like, yo, what? You're calling 911 again? What?
Yeah.
Where'd you come from? Well, this hospital gave me a bus ticket to this town.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was like,
So that
what the heck, dude?
there's a lot of stories.
It seems like a dish. Everyone's just dishing off.
Yeah,
That's
because
all.
but that's because there's
Wouldn't
nothing.
you?
I mean, I'm not.
yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you know, like there is a subgroup of the transient pop or homeless or what is it? There's like a vernacular that they'll use. now.
Transient, I think, is the
Yeah, but either way, you're right. Someone homeless, you know, there is a small subgroup of those people that like they want to be that way.
Oh,
like
yeah.
there is a that's the drive, right? You know, whether they get up and go on quests throughout the day and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
quests.
Just kidding. I stole that from somebody.
I like that.
But anyway, but the other part, or I would say the vast majority, right? So whatever moniker that they'll fall under,
Yeah.
the drug addiction, mental health, you know, a lot of these people can't like really take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the problem when it comes to housing, right? So that's like, because I would agree with the statement treatment first, whatever that means.
Yeah.
But because you say, hey, let's just take all these people and put them in housing. Well, most of the way the housing processes work with homeless people is they have to be clean.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking hygienically. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
mean like they can't be on, you know, fentanyl and meth and stuff, which those two drugs are
Exploding.
very popular among the transient community because it's cheap and, you know, and it's like, it's kind of a sad process, right? Because having done this job for long enough that I've seen people that are new to the homeless game and how they've transitioned over a couple years, and then seeing them go
Interesting.
from being like, oh, dude, sounds like you just had a rough go. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you can get back in there, man. Like, just, you know, and then that turns into
Bugs are in my teeth.
100,000,000%.
dude.
Yeah. And so that's why when they, like, I think it's very laughable when we talk about the problem from like, you know, the
A 30,000 foot view, yeah.
Yeah. They're like, well, we're doing everything that we can. I mean, the reality is that to do what needs, in my opinion, would need to happen would be a very unpopular process. And
Which is what?
No, I don't even talk about it. I don't care. I'm not in charge. I know this is just what I would think would help people.
I feel like
in
what you're
all
about to say might be more mainstream than you think.
Well, right. Well, I'm sorry, like institutional stuff.
So
right?
the Wall Street Journal put out an opinion piece like last week saying, hey,
No
we need to
kidding?
bring this
Oh.
stuff back. Yeah.
Okay, I've been saying that for years.
Yeah,
Wait, bring what back?
Bring back like mental institutions.
Oh, yeah,
Now,
they're- yeah. Oh, yeah.
conservatorships and all that sort of stuff. Now the argument against say your
No,
thing.
it's okay. Yeah, no, yes, that is what I was talking
Yeah.
about, and you know, I'm sure you'd have to call it something else because of the stigma that comes with using the term institution. But the reality is that one, it would be a crazy money thing for the state to be able to do something like this. Two, it actually would get people that need help or maybe aren't completely gone, like lost, you know, because not that anyone can't change their life. I'm not saying that,
Yeah.
but if you have a situation where you've been on meth for the last 20 years of your life, the odds are you might not be able to go through enough therapy long enough to be able to turn that around.
Yep.
It is a crazy, crazy, crazy drug that destroys you inside and out. And so with that being said, the hope is if you had a place to go where, you know, they can get clean, get back on their feet, get educated, get lined up with a job, you know, and however that works.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pieces that work into that. Not to mention creating jobs, because you're going to need people to run the places, you're going to need medical workers, you need all this stuff. It's a big moneymaker, which I'm very surprised that we don't do it, other than saying like, because the big looming thing in the room is that how do you prove that someone can sit there and tell you that like, I want to be by myself with no help, thank you very much, and I'm going to say to you, it'd be like, dude, you've been robbing these thrift stores all day, you just got in a fight, you just stabbed this other dude, and you've been on meth for the last 3 years. I think your personal card is revoked temporarily. You know?
Well, that's like what you're saying is that's a difficult thing to do. Like take
100%.
somebody's rights away. And but at the same time, if those people are constantly infringing on other people's rights to just exist, you know, where's the trade-off? Now, I think one of the big things as to why there's such a stigma is how bad they were actually run back in the day. Like in the 40s, 50s.
Yo.
I had read something about like in like it was some state. They would swoop up gay people and put them in institutions. And they're like, all right, so that's not cool.
God.
100%.
Yeah.
And it is totally justifiable to be worried about giving people that sort of power to do that. But at the same time, how do you solve the problem? My wife is actually a therapist in a jail. And so she deals with this stuff
Wow.
She says 95% of people in jail are drug addicts. There's no old school crime anymore. Nobody robbed anybody.
Yeah.
Well, they robbed somebody, but they
Sorry. My bad.
But that's the thing is like she's like it's all drug addicts. And so if anybody like I want her to talk about this stuff more because she has such an interesting insight into like this whole world. And but her thing is there's like it's all drug addicts. There's no good old crime anymore.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's why this will have that's why even making any attempts at a version of this of an institutional type, or at least something that is going to say like, hey, you got that's not jail.
Yeah,
that's not jail.
Yeah.
So let's put that like just so anyone listening, that the flip side of this would be is like instead of getting picked up and spending 4 to 5 nights in jail because they got super high and decided to steal, rape, or kill, or not kill, but or hurt somebody with some, kind of, because like that's real. That's a real thing. It's not a like, ooh, we say things out loud just to make people be worried about that. No, it's actually a problem. So, and I think it's a very fair statement to say that like, how can we make that better? Because it would benefit, everyone. Right. So it's kind of like, and I don't know. I don't know what that'll ever look like, but maybe call it like temporary jail,
But you also got to like, I think one of the biggest definition problems that I think conservatives or the right or the left or whatever you want, I'm not a big fan of labels, but I think one of the biggest definition issues is like, what is compassion? Is it compassionate to let somebody continue down that path, or is it passionate to have them hit rock bottom and hopefully turn their life around? The people that have hit rock bottom and turn their life around will definitely say the latter. Like, it is not compassion to continue to just allow lawlessness.
Yeah.
I think to the person committing the crimes.
Well, you're seeing the fruit of that right now, right, in California. I mean, dude, isn't there some mob up in L.A. where it was flash mobbed?
Oh, well, so they arrested 2 of the people.
Yeah, let them go in like 4 hours.
Did
you see that? I couldn't, dude.
Yeah.
I want to throw my hands up in the air like, what is happening to California? This is crazy.
It's an S-hole state.
Absolutely.
Did you see the Nancy Pelosi federal building in San Francisco? So the federal building in San Francisco is named after Nancy Pelosi.
Of course it is.
And they sent out a memo this week saying, hey, all the office staff, you're going to go ahead and work from home indefinitely because it's not safe to come into the office anymore.
Get out of here.
It's
my gosh.
It's one of those things where it's like, this is funny.
But why is it's not safe? Because
all of the bums and junkies that are just hanging out around.
All their policies, dude.
Yeah, dude. It's just
sorry,
not.
I was like, structurally?
Oh,
Like,
no.
They cut so many corners.
Structurally?
Yeah.
It's maybe up to code.
When's the last time you went to San Francisco? Recently? Last year?
Probably 5 years. It's been a while.
I went there last year. And
amazing you're alive.
Yeah, bro.
Talk about it.
That's the first time, at least there. I've been there quite a few times. Where those, those taxpayer buildings where you have the business down below, living up top. There was multiple blocks where the businesses, there was no business
out,
and up top, all for rent,
dude,
just desolate.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it. I've never seen like that in San Francisco.
Why?
They've changed the landscape with their. To me, I want to say, you made your bed. Now you guys are lying in it. This is what you wanted, so this is what you get.
What the best way to argue against bad policy is to enact it. And that's,
yes, I 100% agree.
One of my favorite things about the country as a whole is that we have these like laboratories of democracy. And if more people were paying attention by broadening the tax base, you would have people be able to look at, okay, South Dakota, how are they doing things? California, how are they doing things?
Yeah.
Which one is better? And then hopefully the rational person would go look at California and go, yeah, not that. But I don't know. People just don't pay attention, don't care. And it's easier to say healthcare for all. We'll pay for your college.
And that's
it's just easy.
Right. And that's the the propaganda part of the politics and whatever, I mean, in this case, you'd say more of a liberal side of things. It just tell a group of people that, like, you shouldn't have to do this. You do deserve this. Of course, like, at least half the group is going to go, yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
I've been paying for rent. This is bullshit. I should be able to live somewhere for free. Now, that doesn't, the average worker is probably not going to qualify for some of these things. But the reality is that by associating and voting those things through, you're now putting the money that you're putting back into the system into these other things that are never going to benefit your surroundings ever. And I'm not saying that everything should only benefit yourself. That's not right. I mean, it would be nice.
I could make the argument that everybody should vote as selfully as possible, and I think the world would be a better place.
Agreed.
There Sam is. There he is, everybody.
On paper, I agree with you. But yeah, and I just think that's like, we're using San Francisco as an example. Like, that's just one of those, it's probably one of the most rad geographical locations that you can have a city. It's absolutely stunning, the area. The problem is that it's like, okay, long-term, like hyper progressive area. It's like, well, eventually these things, if you're constantly running on promises of being able to do all this stuff, it's like, dude, the pendulum will inevitably swing in the bad direction for a group in that way, and everything in life in general, right? Too much of one thing is always going to eventually probably be a bad thing, but then it's that backswing of the pendulum that you're always worried about.
Yeah.
Right now, in this case, it's like, yeah, dude, rent control, homelessness, like the law enforcement stuff they have. It's crazy. But it's so unfortunate because it's like, I even think, even now, like, I've been to San Francisco a handful of times and I loved it, except for the fact that there's a ton of homeless people and I literally have seen humans take shits on the sidewalk. And, but I've also seen that in Chicago and in New York, and it's like, damn, dude, like, what's going on? And I'm not talking like it's just one-off situations.
Yeah.
San Francisco opened up a sanitation wing where all they did was get called in to pick up shits on the side of the street.
And they make great money.
Yeah, there were
doing
6
it.
people making like $150,000 to do that.
When that first came out,
Where do I apply?
On the station, I was like, that's more than I make. Like, I could scoop like crazy.
Yeah, I think I need to go pick up poop, guys. I think I need to go do it.
That's my calling.
So as somebody that's in this like politics thing like all day, every day, I try hard to not be. So I've had my wife listen to some of the podcasts / radio shows / TV shows that some of my friends do. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, because she's like your normal type person, like she's she's in it, but not like a lot. Most of the time, she gets completely. She's like, "What are they even talking about?" Like somebody will say, "Like, well, Zelensky and the Burisma board of Hunter Biden," and she's like, "I don't even. Who are these people? Like, what? Like, how?" As kind of, I guess, people outside of this whole like world, how much of that are you taking in, and how much of the people around you are doing? Like, what are they taking in?
That's a good question. I mean, yeah, I would say we've talked about this, Sam. I mean, most people read the headline and that's it.
Yeah.
Or they see the headline right with the article and they repost or they reshare on Instagram without even looking at it. Right.
Well, one of the best performing anytime. Like, I hate to say that I like plan content, but if there's ever a time where I know this is going to do well, it's the headline and then the article that says something different. And so that's what I'll go off on. But so anyways, yeah, most people only read the headline.
Yeah, most people only read the headline, but I want to say it's almost individually dependent or like group dependent or wherever you're working or live.
Yeah.
Like for us, how we are in the fire service, it matters to us, right? Because we always say we see it on the right side of our check, right? Right side is our deductions.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm be straight with you. Half my check is taken from me.
Jeez.
It is. So on paper, it's like, oh yeah, you guys do great. Like, not really, bro. Like half my check is gone. So
is this
we care.
podcast an expense?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Oh, yeah, it's a business,
Dude, that's crazy that you can afford that $100,000 microphone that you're talking into. I know what those cost. So
they are. Thank God I have other businesses on the side that are doing pretty good. So yeah, I mean, this is just my opinion. We talk about a lot. We always say a lot happens at the firehouse dinner table or coffee table in the morning, dinner, lunch, and we care because we have families and kids and raising them, and we're invested in our retirement, and you know our taxes are getting taken out. But here's another thing, right? I have family members, same thing. I bring it up. Hey, did you guys hear this is going on? Like, what? I didn't know that was happening.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, are you not engaged with what's happening around the world, the country?
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know, Jordan, Sam, you guys probably have your own opinions on it, but I don't know, man. It's like you said, the people who aren't paying taxes, why would they care? There's no skin.
Why would you care?
Right. They don't, if I'd have to pay taxes, you think I would really care what's happening? Probably not. I got my money, dude.
Yeah. I think one of the best arguments against like a more expansive government, I think it was like Dave Smith that made the point of like, you can have a Muslim and a Christian sitting next to each other in a room, and both of them think the other is going to burn for all of eternity. Like, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And they can sit together cordially.
Yeah.
You know why? Because religion doesn't factor in, the other person's religion doesn't factor into their life. Mm-hmm. You can believe what you believe, I believe what I believe, and that's fine. On a government standpoint, the government is so intrusive into every like part of your life that it now has to matter. Whereas like it's harder to sit next to people who aren't paying attention as much, and you start to pull your hair out and you go, why don't you know these things?
Right.
But at the same time, you got to remain sane. And I think if you dive into this, I've caught myself a couple times going like getting all upset, reading Twitter at 12 at night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And I think that's like, let's see, how do I put this? So we'll say like the progressive social media side of things, right? So like they're shutting things down as far as information coming out about stuff, right? Because when you talked about the Hunter Biden thing, right? So that's kind of a unique one where they kind of came out, then got shut down, and then we've slowly over a period of time, depending on where you jumped into this interest, right?
Yeah.
You were from the beginning like, I knew it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
The FBI's known about this for 5 years. I could, I was probably like that guy.
Yeah.
But, maybe not that guy. But, as this has come out, now it's more layman's terms because there are some factual things about it and some actual implications. But if you're a casual viewer of politics or have any interest in that, you'll listen to a segment about that and go, what?
Why are the Republicans doing
why?
this?
Yes, right? And so where I feel like it's very important is one, because you're expanding on creativity of getting politics out there to make it fun for people to be interested in without it being, the old school way or this like a really hyper aggressive new school way, right? Because, and what I hope doesn't happen, I do see a little bit of that, is that, it's like, the titles of things we were just talking about, right? Like the letterhead of like an article, and you're like, oh, I knew it, and then that gets sent out and gets plugged away. It's like now that happens on both sides of both parties, and I hope that like especially with like this kind of younger conservative movement, that they have people like that work that you list off earlier that work with you that have a good way of delivering information without it being like like there's fact that comes with it. There's explanation. There's a lot of long form talking, which I think is super important. Like the stuff, with us sitting here right now, right? Instead of you having like 3 minutes to explain something,
dude.
And now you can get on here and talk something out for 20 minutes if that's what it takes, But anyways, all these things I think are at least pushing a good trajectory of hopefully gaining the interest of people that, that they can go, one, I want to know where my money's going. I want to know when I vote for this person, what this person actually can do. And then, or hey, I voted for this person, and now, like, let's step inside and see how they're doing. Because you know what the beautiful part about this country is supposed to be is that if we don't like them, we can vote to remove them.
Yeah.
And like that premise. And I'm not talking about the president because you said that earlier, where it's like the Congress is the most important. I even agree. Like, dude, state assembly. Like everybody running through there. Like a fun fact for everybody, depending on where you fall on the abortion stuff, but I forgot the measure it was, but last year there was a vote on saying that you can have an abortion up to the 2 days after the baby was born.
Yeah.
Right? As a mother making a choice. Now that did not pass, thank God. But at the end of the day, and it's like, and I'm not saying that I'm 100% hard in the paint against abortion. I'm just saying that we elect certain people that may just be a random name on there. You're like, you're like Jack Stevens, farmer. You're like, I like farming. Check. You don't know what this guy's up to. So it's like gain that interest. See what's going on at the local level or who you're going to be vote for to effectively generate these new policies potentially in the future.
I'm a communist in my household. And then,
Same, dude. I got you.
But it's that's what it is. Like you should be
one piece of bread.
Yeah, you're a big government person inside your household. Like if my wife screws up and spends $1 bajillion, like that's my problem.
Right.
If my neighbor needs help, I'll help him out. If the city needs help, all right, we'll see. If the state needs help, probably not, and screw the federal government. Like at the federal level, I'm an anarchist. So like I feel like people invert that system. Like I think everybody should be, I hate to use the term socialist, but within their own household, like that's just what it is. Like you look out for your family and the people that you love, and then from a federal government level, well, I don't care what you guys do. Who cares? Like it doesn't matter to me at all. But people invert that so often of just like, we are the people who are all together as one. Like, dude, you live in New York City and this person lives in Iowa. You have zero in common. Like you both have two legs.
Yeah.
And other than that,
breathe air.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
You brought up a good point that we talked about earlier, and we've talked about this on here, and it does make me kind of irritated sometimes. But when did it come to the point where, say, you are a Democrat and I'm Republican? Why is it now? Since I don't believe what you believe, and I'm a piece of shit. And if I don't believe what you believe, why can't we agree to disagree and still be adults about this? Kind of, I don't want to say that's old school, but why we do this podcast too is we bring on anyone, and everybody. We don't have to agree, but let's talk about life. Let me see your point of view.
Yeah.
Because maybe it might change mine, or maybe you might change. Maybe I might learn something. But I always think like, when did that shift happen in politics where it's like F that side, F this side, F you because you're not with me? It's kind of a bummer because I'm like, dang, dude, like we should be able to meet somewhere in the middle, not just you got to believe what I believe.
Well, I mean, that's all a byproduct of more power at the federal level and at the executive level. Like, if they didn't do much, it wouldn't matter much. But because you have policies, and I'll use Obamacare as an example, right? Like, Obama knew that Obamacare was not going to work. The Affordable Health Care Act, like, functionally was not going to work. But that wasn't the plan. The plan was to get some sort of socialized single-payer medication or healthcare into the system. Because once it's there, it's not going anywhere. I think it's like Milton Friedman. It's like there's nothing more permanent than a temporary government program.
Ooh, I remember that. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so he got it in there. And now you have people going like, hey, this doesn't work financially, and we need to repeal it. Notice how all of the Republicans running on that were repeal and replace, repeal and replace. Yep. F the replace part, like just repeal the stupid thing. But then because we're dealing with that on an everyday basis, now if you're the guy that's saying repeal, it doesn't financially work, your neighbor who doesn't agree with you on that sort of thing sees you as, why do you want to take health care away from the single mother with 6 children? Mm-hmm. And now you're evil. And I understand that. Like, if you're not really paying attention all that much and you believe in your heart that that person over there is trying to take away something from somebody that you love, why wouldn't you hate them?
Right.
But of course, if there's no government interaction at all, then none of that happens. And then you get to have friends who are on different sides of the aisle. Statistically speaking, there's some pretty solid evidence that conservatives are like exponentially more likely to have liberal friends than liberal friends are to have conservative friends.
Oh, I believe you on that. I believe you on that one because I would say I'm pretty open-minded, and I love. That's why I have a podcast, right? I like talking.
Yeah.
We like bringing people on, so. I don't mind. Like, I was raised in a very, very strict Christian home.
Okay.
And I love my parents.
Yeah.
But the way they were, it's like, stay away from gay people. You touch them, you're going to get it. They might fall in love with you or something. It's really weird, dude. But some of my... But, dude, I've had one of my good friends I grew up with who is gay that came on this podcast, and we had a great conversation about faith and God and how he grew up and how messed up it was and where he's at now. He's one of my good friends. He's a good person. Great human being. Do we see the same way when it comes to sexuality? No.
Yeah.
Does that matter to me? No, I don't care. That's your choice, dude. It's not my problem. But I'll tell you what, I'm still going to love you, dude. You're still a human. You're still a brother. Like, I still hope you're doing okay. I hope you make it. If you need some, I'll help you out, you know? But gosh, like, God, I see that a lot with friends. I have lost friends that are liberal, and a lot of it happened during COVID. There's a lot of clash there, dude. A lot of people who didn't agree on a lot of things, you know? And it's sad. It is what it is. But friendships and people, they run their course. It is what it is. But I can see what you're saying, because I am very, I would say with time, experience, age, and some lessons learned the hard way or the easy way, I've just learned to be open-minded and accept people for who they are and what they believe. It's all good, man. We're all human. We have free will. And that's what's beautiful about it. Is you, especially in this country. And what I love about it, because I was raised in a military home. Dad was a Green Beret for 25 years. Is, dude, you have the freedom to be and do whatever you want here. Of course, within legal parameters. But you want to become an astronaut? Like, I teach at a college, part-time. And I tell them that when they're going to, taking these classes, I'm like, look, all of you are 18, 19 years old, some a little bit older. You have the opportunity to make your life whatever you want in this country. And I'll bring up the application for astronaut. You can be an astronaut. And here's everything you have to do. Do I want to freaking do that?
Yeah.
Not at all. Not me, dude. I don't want to do any of that stuff. But I'm saying is, like, if you put the work in, the time, the sacrifice, will you be successful? I don't know. It says life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Doesn't guarantee happiness, but you have the opportunity to be whoever and become whoever you want. And that's what's the beauty of this place and what I love about it. But now some of that is kind of like, you almost are afraid to kind of be who you want to be, because now you get shit on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a weird time in our country it seems like it's changed a lot, even to the point where it's like, let's be real, right? You got Hunter Biden and all this crazy stuff happening, right? And you don't see too much crazy, as far as headlines and what's happening to him. Yet you see Trump just, dude, indictment. You're like, what the heck? Like, you got a crime family over here that is absolutely like crushing it, and you're not going to indict them on anything, but yet you're going to go after Trump. It's crazy to me, dude. I'm like, what is happening? It's so ass backwards to me.
I don't know if this is a hot take or this is like, I'm just wrong about this, but that stuff like kind of excites me a little bit.
Oh,
in the sense of like what I see societally is the shift towards conservatives who used to compete in the policy space with liberals, or right and the left competing in the policy space, to the right seeing that, all right, this is crazy. We're just not going to participate anymore. And I think I like that. I think we were head to head for so long of just like pushing back and forth on policy and culture and society and all of these different things, to now to the point where like, look, we all see it. It's not even worth fighting anymore. It's like there's a certain point in time where, I don't know, you have a friend that's so hard-headed that you stop trying to convince them and you just do your own thing. And so from a cultural standpoint, like, I'm kind of hoping that the right looks at the Trump indictments and the Hunter Biden situation and goes, all right, we're out. Like, good luck with your thing. You guys do your thing over there. We're going to do our thing over here. And we'll meet up in 20 years and see how things are.
That's probably when it will actually happen in about 20 years.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're right. I think Trump has made politics exciting again. I really didn't care that much until he came in.
Well,
because you're like,
know about
this
again.
guy's awesome.
It was never this exciting. Like, this again is not really.
Next question.
Yeah, dude.
I do a bad Trump. But
when he announced he was running for president, and he was like, the Mexicans. I'm like, whoa, holy crap, he's coming in hot,
dude. Have you guys? Okay, slight tangent. Have you guys heard about Nayib Bukele in El Salvador? All right, this is nuts.
Bring it, baby. Bring it.
And we don't need to get into like the hyper specifics, but effectively, El Salvador has a dictator. Like, a dude who does not follow the rules, does not care, and does what he wants. So I'm botching the specifics, but he wanted to build a prison, and he needed a loan from the central bank the Bank of Central America. The Supreme Court said, you can't have this loan. So he fired the Supreme Court, put his entire Supreme Court in, and got the loan and built the prison. He has the highest approval rating in his own country than any other world leader.
Get out of here.
Yes.
Really?
It is nuts. And so,
Why do you think that
mail-in
is, though?
votes?
dude, okay, so why did he come to power?
Yeah.
Is because MS-13 and the cartels and the drug cartels were just a huge problem.
Yeah.
And he was like, I will do nothing else other than just crush the cartels. And so he did it at any cost. And now, caveat, I don't want this to happen in the United States, but it's a fascinating thing to look at because he took a problem in a country and said, we're going to solve this problem. I don't care if I have to break law. Like, he's running for a third term. Like, constitutionally, he can only run for 2 terms. He said, F that, I'm running. Like,
Look at my guy.
Hey, Supreme Court.
yeah, like,
I got
you're all fired.
Oh,
like,
my God.
He fired like half the legislature. Like, he's doing some stuff that's like not okay.
Just gangster.
He's also he's 41 years old. Like, he's
He's younger.
Yeah, he's a younger guy. And so in theory, he can be in power for the next 40 years. And it could be a problem. Like, nobody knows. But at the time, like right now, it's insane. He's got like 95% approval in El Salvador because he just took all of the criminals and just locked everybody up. And now there are some rights being violated. Like, some people are like, I'm not a gang member. And the protocol to arrest quote unquote gang members is, do you look like you're gang affiliated? If you do, you're going to jail.
So profiling.
Yes. So not cool.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But also, El Salvador has the lowest homicide rate it's ever had. So
that's pretty.
You've got to like.
So it's this
weigh
double-edged
these,
sword,
like,
right?
It's
I'm
it's
pretty
like,
sure El Salvador was up there.
Oh, it
too,
was.
As
It
far
was.
as like crime and like they're a big pusher of drug, like a connector country.
And that's why he's a thing, is because he's this like anomaly of like all of the things that the people want, but in order to do all of those things, he just screwed the rules. Now, again, I don't want that to happen here because here there's not so much of a mandate. And by mandate, I mean like everybody in El Salvador wanted the same thing. And so he threw the rules out to accomplish that thing. Here, you have a bunch of different people wanting a bunch of different things. Nobody has a clear, decisive majority. And, you know, so if somebody were to do that here, you'd be like, even if I agreed with what they were doing, I'm like, dude, this is not where everybody's at. Yeah. So you should look into Nayib Bukele.
Okay.
It's crazy.
All right, we'll look that up.
Fascinating.
There's got to be conspiracy theories behind that too.
Oh,
right?
there's conspiracy.
We love conspiracy theories, man.
Dude.
What's your favorite conspiracy? Unless were you gonna say something? And then,
I was just gonna say, like, it's just so interesting, like when you hear things about these other countries, because it's like they're always, you know, like whatever thing measures try to get pushed is always, especially with like socialistic type. You know, everything's like Sweden, Denmark, all these places, right? And, you know, it's like,
dude.
but at the end of the day, it's because the average person doesn't understand what the parameters are to live in those countries and to like have to contribute a certain amount, even to like, you can't just pack up and go live in Sweden. You have to bring like, I think it's like a minimum of $60,000. You got to got a job. You got to have all these parameters to meet to get these welfare systems. Now, I'm only bringing that up as a tie-in with, and every country's got their own thing. Right.
Yeah.
So in this case, you have a country that's so riddled with crime and things where people are like, dude, we're sick of this, where we're going to elect this guy who's going to break the rules and he'll probably screw over a lot of people. But the end game is we're getting rid of this shit.
Yeah.
Right. Where, you know, so it's interesting because our country, dude, we can never operate that way as our country as a whole.
Yeah.
Right. Because of all the things you listed. But it is fascinating when you hear something that's like on that side of it. You're like, wow, they really did it. And like, whether that's good or bad, but it's like, if you can be like, but there's no crime.
Yeah.
So that's good, right? You know?
And all of us used to be scared for our lives every day.
Yeah, totally.
Really quick, before I want to talk about conspiracies because I feel like that'd be fun.
You want to know the new one that I'm on right now?
Yes, but pause really quick because I want to.
You got it.
Okay, so a lot of people talk about the social programs in other states or in other countries, especially like the Nordic countries, like Sweden, and look at how great they have healthcare and all that stuff. Nobody on the right side of the aisle ever talks about the fact that they can only do that because of us. We are the reason that
Absolutely
they're able to do that.
Yes.
Like, okay, Sweden, you guys don't have a military that could stop an invasion. Do you want to, like, I don't know, maybe participate in the global military components? Like, we keep the shipping lanes open for the entire world. We are the ones that are doing most of the R&D for most of the big mainstream medications. They buy medicine. They don't invest in R&D and all that sort of stuff. Yes, they have high taxes. Yes, they have parameters to enter the country. But at the same time, like, any of the countries that have these like pie in the sky government programs are only able to do that because we exist. And so, like, if the United States goes to a single payer system, which unfortunately I think we're heading towards from a healthcare standpoint, and companies don't have an incentive to put into R&D to develop new medication, the rest of the world won't get new medication. Like, the rest of the world is beholden to what we as the United States do. So while people are like, oh yeah, Canada has free healthcare, like, yeah, they also have a military called the United States that protects their ass in case anything goes haywire.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's my rant on that.
No, it's good. But it's all true, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is probably a weird analogy, but do you remember Team America?
Yeah.
World police, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so true. A lot of the world wouldn't have what it has if it wasn't for us.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for our military. If it wasn't for the men and women who died in multiple wars to protect democracy and freedom, right? I mean, dude, there's so much sacrifice that's been had so the world can have what it has.
What do you think about this theory? One of my buddies told me this, and I had never thought about it like this, in defense of the Second Amendment. He was like, look, if Australia has a government takeover and they imprison the citizens and the citizens all are like, we hate this, who comes and saves them?
America, baby.
We
Us.
do.
Absolutely.
If another country has like an uprising that can't be handled and needs to restore order, like, who comes and saves them? Us.
America.
What happens if that happens here? Who's coming to save us?
That
So
is I mean, we're pretty much owned by them now.
They're protecting their investments.
save, yeah.
They own a lot of land here, so, you know.
But so the theory was that, like, the Second Amendment, protects the United States citizens against the government. That's what the whole point is, like, to bear arms so you can protect yourself against an overreaching government.
Right.
The argument, I think, can pretty easily be made that not only here, but it protects the rest of the world. Because, I don't know, France can take away all the guns or whatever they want to do. But they know that if the government becomes tyrannical and expansively overreaching, they have the United States. And we'll come in and save everybody's ass like we've done for 2 consecutive world wars.
It's a fantastic
But if
point.
we don't have the ability to protect ourselves against our own government, and therefore the government goes tyrannical on us, nobody's coming to help.
Dude.
And the world goes to hell.
I mean,
I need to write this down.
yeah, that's a
I feel
really
like
good
I can
point.
utilize a lot of things you just said and some good past
I feel like, too,
conversations I've had.
There's the argument, I like Second Amendment arguments because most of them are just like not thought out well. But there's the argument of, like, well, what is your rifle or handgun going to do against the U.S. military? It's like, look, you have to understand throughout history, wars are half physical and half PR. Like, you don't have to beat the military. They just have to have such a big PR problem that the people are not on their side anymore. Like, I don't know, Waco is probably a great example of, like, the Branch Davidians at Waco. Like, the ATF is responsible for the biggest mass shooting or mass killing in U.S. history. Like, the government is. And so when people see stuff like that, they go, all right, maybe restricting gun. That's a bad example because the whole thing was about guns.
Right.
But the point being, like, they have to fight a PR war too, not just the they'll
People in
obliterate
arms would put up a better fight than I think that people give them, credit for,
totally,
right?
totally.
I mean, and that's a I understand where you're going with, but it's a fantastic premise when a small group of people can put up that big of a problem for a quote unquote
Professional
elite
agency?
professional
Yeah.
agency,
Yeah.
right? And that goes to look. Not everybody is a skilled sharpshooter that's in the military, so let's get past that.
Yeah.
Right. And at the end of the day, if it was an internal conflict, so much so that the military was put out there to put down American citizens, I think it would be there wouldn't be a United States probably after that for a long time. It would be an absolute disaster. But the people would fight, I think. Or at least I would hope that they would fight back, I guess depending on what side of the argument that would be.
like-
I don't know. Maybe it would be for it, depending on what it is. I have a weird view of Star Wars, actually. It kind of draws it in there. I was like, was the Republic that bad?
Yeah,
They were
what's
just- They put some sanctions and didn't allow you to do crazy shit. You know, I was like, they basically propped up a rebellion that they were essentially terrorists. So, you know.
That's hilarious.
I don't know. Sorry. I was like, if you
No,
watch-
I like that.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm sure I'll get some flack for that. But anyway, yeah, no, it's interesting, man. But I do want to hear. So if you had to pick one conspiracy that you think is like one of the more fun ones to talk about, what's your go-to?
Oh, I will not back down on the world being flat. Like the Earth,
Really?
the Earth is flat.
I love that
Okay,
you love
hold
that.
on, hold
Okay,
on.
I love it.
Yeah.
Hold on. Give me your best short rendition of why it's true.
Okay, the only thing that anyone needs to know is most people have flown on an airplane before. Do you see the roundness? No, it's flat. That's a bad argument. That's a bad argument. I gotta get. I talk.
You're like, it's flat. I mean, perspective-wise, yeah, to see
What's my other one?
Yeah.
to see rounding shapes.
I'll
would
just
be
say
hard.
this.
I don't know if I can get on that one.
I
now.
skydive and I've done a few high altitude jumps.
So we have
did see a curve.
a round Earth propagandist.
I don't know.
I'm not saying
I've
it's
never been to
round,
outer
I
space.
just-
All I can
No,
say is what I saw. I saw a curve.
Birds aren't real. That's another one that I like. I won't back down on that one. That I definitely
Birds aren't real?
No. What? Hold on. Do you guys think birds are real?
Like living things?
No.
Like has like blood and a heart and stuff?
Are you being serious right now?
Birds like the animal?
Birds, the animal. They are government drones sent to spy on the American people.
Oh my god.
All birds?
All birds. There are no such thing as real birds.
Here, look, I will get
Such a
behind you
bummer.
on that when it comes to hummingbirds. Because I feel like hummingbirds are for sure if there are going to be
All birds.
spyware.
Where do birds sit?
Up.
Above your
Just
house.
kidding. Electrical poles to charge. That's how they dock up there.
That's pretty
I
good.
don't know what's funny about
I don't know.
this.
Look, man. I mean,
Everything.
Birds are not real. They haven't been.
serious.
So birds used to be real. In the 60s, there was a big government overhaul. They killed all of the birds in order to replace them with government drones. And they've been doing that for the last 70 years, 60 years.
Oh, okay, wait. All right.
What?
Is there a like a named theory or anything behind this, or just
Birds aren't real.
if I like because I'm all in on going down this rabbit hole. So that's where I'd start. I'd just be like birds aren't real
dude.
and just start picking things.
We
apart.
have rallies. We have meetups.
Is there a group?
There was a 60 Minutes piece that interviewed the leader. I don't forget what his name is, but advocating for the fact that birds are not real.
Okay.
really?
Dang, I didn't think I was
Wow.
going to go there. I
I'm-
thought you were
I'm
going to say
gonna look this up when we're
JFK
done
or
today.
something.
Okay. What about the Hawaii conspiracy theory? The land grab.
Dude,
Is it too soon?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
That one's interesting.
Well, so here's the there's not even conspiracy, just like government involvement with public utilities. So like the campfire. Remember the camp? You guys obviously the
Yeah,
campfire.
we remember.
Did you guys have to go up there at all?
Yes.
You did? Wow.
We've been on many.
Wow, dude.
many of the big ones.
Jeez. And that killed what, 80 people?
I don't know this.
I can't remember the exact number, but yes, there were a lot.
So PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, caused it, right? Like, and didn't pay any penalty whatsoever. Like the California Public Utilities Commission, which is a group of 5 people appointed by the governor. So
Of course,
Gavin appointed these people, and then those people regulate the energy monopoly that is PG&E. They had an insurance payout for a bunch of the obviously people died and it's terrible, but the insurance paid all that stuff out. They didn't pay a single dime in a penalty. So much so that the Public Utilities Commission like got so much heat that they said, okay, we're going to slap a $200 million fine on PG&E. And then people were like, I mean, that's not very much money for the damage they caused, but at least it's a fine. And then 5 weeks later, they said, you don't have to pay it. So all that being said is in Maui,
Yeah.
kind of similar things look like it's kind of unfolding. Like it looks like it was an electrical fire. It looks like Hawaiian Electric was responsible for it. Now, whether or not that is an intentional thing. I don't know, man. I don't know. I've
already heard some wild
with the
theories.
energy weapons.
Yeah, man.
I forgot the acronym, but it's basically an energy beam or something.
Was Tim Pool talking about that?
He could. I mean, I didn't hear it from him, but I guarantee you that's a subject matter.
The Chinese space lasers. I think I remember that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think at the end of the day, like most things in this way, in any kind of natural disasters, open up avenues for money regeneration. Now you can get into the whole like they were going to be the first smart city in the island chain, and a lot of potential land grabs, which I don't think is like it's. I don't even think that's really conspiracy, dude. That's just
happening.
Every time there's a loss, there has to be recoups, and someone's going to own that eventually, right? So depending on who it is. Now, purpose, I would really hope that wouldn't be something where anything was like basically set up to where it would lose control. I mean, like at the end of the day, the island of Maui, how many fire stations they probably have? 8, maybe
7 or 8, yeah.
Right, for the whole island. Okay, if there's 4 people that work, maybe even 4, maybe 3 that work on a crew each day. Those pictures that you saw from those, I don't care what anyone says, all the conspiracy theorists about it being a bomb, an explosion, that's bullshit. A wildland fire can absolutely look like a flamethrower is going through an area. That is absolutely true. So when you see because everything's like the cars, you're like, look, the cars look like there's an explosion. It's because the shit's burning like 1,500 degrees, dude, for a long time. It's going to melt everything and it's going to look bad. Now, what I think is sad in this whole thing, and we can call it conspiracy cover-up or just maybe like a deflection is what I think, because all we hear about when you turn on the TV in the last 48 hours is Hurricane Hillary. But
I like that subtle Bill Clinton.
But what we know now, right? Like as far as if you go back to a couple days ago, it wasn't, what they were at the body count was at 90. Well, they're anticipating upwards of 1,000 people that are missing. A lot of those were kids.
There's 1,000 people missing?
A lot of them were kids that got cut from school earlier that day that they're unaccounted for, right? So, and I'm not saying this to be conspiratorial. I'm saying that, holy shit, dude, if there's 1,000 people missing and there was like the gnarliest wildland fire that they've ever experienced, don't you think that would be the number one thing that everyone's talking about day in and day out? Because that, as a society, what we hold on to is tragedy. And that's the front runner. But all of a sudden, within a day of numbers coming out that seem egregious, and then start, depending on what you follow social media wise, you probably see a lot of the videos of people trying to get care packages to people over there, and they're getting shut down because Red Cross hasn't approved it. And I'm not against the Red Cross. I'm not against advocating for people to help. But I think when you're in a serious situation where, dude, people need water, people need to eat, people need medication.
They need $700.
I mean, look, you make the argument and be like, well, we sent $120 billion to Ukraine. We got a huge problem here in our country, and you front the bill of $700 per citizen. That apparently there's 1,000 people that are missing.
This is pretty ruthless,
right?
Somebody said Hawaii changed their flag to Ukraine so they can get billions of dollars and rebuilding. I'm like,
it's ruthless, but honestly, like if I lived there and was from there, my family's from there, and I was impacted in this way, I would be face all the cameras in the sand. F you guys, what is going on here? Because when I turn the TV on, you see the spot check of somebody who survived it, a story, and you hear the same story. God bless them, dude. What a I don't know if you saw it, where the guy was with his family. They were in the car and they all jumped out and they found a piece of wood they floated on in the harbor as the thing go by. Amazing. It's an amazing story. But okay, we don't need to hear that 12 times. What are we doing about it? We all want to see, hey, we got 20 of our biggest jets filled with pallets of water and food to help these poor people, right? And I don't care what the budget is. You can tell me that costs $500 billion. And at least with that, I would go, okay, that makes sense. I'm huge about mismanagement of money. But in this case, it'd be like, I'll buy in on whatever as a citizen, because I want to, like, dude, this is like our own turf. You know what I mean? It's our people, period. So I think, like, that's where, like, the conspiracy stuff is interesting, because it's like, okay, now how it started, I'm sure it was electrical. I'm sure it was a problem. I mean, you can go back. There was talking about the temperature records for that time. It had been the driest it's ever been. So then that kind of spins they control the weather and all this kind of stuff. So without even getting into this kind of stuff, it's like at the end of the day, something bad happened. A lot of people got effed up. And now there may even be like the most in U.S. history have ever died from a fire conflagration in natural, land. And we're now talking about like we're gonna have a couple wet days coming up here this weekend in SoCal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know. But again, I feel like that's done on purpose to me because they don't want that to get out there and be like, hey, we're not doing it good enough. Another example is in Puerto Rico. When they had the hurricane efforts that was going on there, that was when Trump first got elected.
Yeah.
And you had the governor of Puerto Rico that was holding the Army of Engineering to come in and fix all the power line issues, and they were holding him at the base and not allowing him to come out. The only reason why someone as dumb as me would know that is because you had a president that was
saying it
pretty out loud going, I don't know what everyone's there. Like, we're ready to go to work, but it's you know? But, it's like, it's semantics. And it's like, it's discouraging when you see government entities, like, be able to control things just to prove a point.
Yeah.
And that's super sad.
Well, it's politics. That's just politics in general. Yeah. Like, they just do things that are not in the best interest of the people, but it'll get them reelected. Or it'll help their campaign or help whatever it is that they're trying to do. But I think what you're saying, like, what I heard was sometimes there are disasters that just happen. But the conspiratorial side of it is, and then the people at the top are going to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
So it's like not necessarily one or the other. Like they're probably not causing it, but also not going to just sit it out. I went to the World Economic Forum this year.
You did?
I did.
That's rad.
Yeah, it was.
Oh man,
it was fascinating.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
Wow. Did you just go by yourself, or did somebody?
No, I went with Turning Point. And
Okay,
we,
okay.
Did you guys get to eat bugs and stuff?
No.
Schwab.
Mike, you guys know Michael Knowles? He's the Daily Wire. Daily Wire. Anyways,
I know what you're talking about.
He was also there. I didn't know he was there, but somebody sent us a YouTube video of him like in the live stream asking a question like, I like to eat chicken and beef, and if I have to move my diet over to insects, and he did this like he was being super satirical, but they took it as like a serious question. I'm not sure what he's gonna do with that. I mean, he's probably working on some documentary.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I went to the World Economic Forum, and it was fascinating.
Interesting.
Because that's where all that that's the conspiratorial hub.
Oh yeah.
Like BlackRock is there. Like they have a big old. So okay, let me just lay this. Everything. Them and Vanguard and the other one. I forget what was the third.
We're gonna have to do a conspiracy episode.
Skunkworks.
Well, dude. So it was just to lay it out really quick. There's the actual event, but that's not the focal point. Which is what I was like being there. You're kind of like, okay, so the event itself is kind of all the high power people, some of the media people, but that's where they sit and talk, and that's where all the videos come out of. That's not the attraction. The attraction is the street that leads up to. So Davos is like this small, sleepy ski town, and the street that leads up to the World Economic Forum, the actual forum, has all of these like shops. Like it's just normal small town street. But during WEF, all of the big companies rent out storefront space. So like T-Mobile has, I don't know, T-Mobile, AT&T, or there was a Ukraine building. There was like the different countries have different, like it's basically it's an expo, like a display of what everybody's doing. And we kind of went there to like, I don't want to say cause havoc, but we're there to like, hey, you guys are all BSing everybody. Like I did it was one of the most viewed things I did. People make a big deal about flying private planes into Davos, right? Mm-hmm. How all these people, like climate, green energy people, are flying planes.
They got their private jets, right?
Yeah, they got their private jets. I didn't know because like I went out looking for the airport because I was like, I want to take a picture of this. I had no idea the airport's 2 hours away. And so I'm like, okay, well, how do these people get here? So they fly to the airport in their private jets, and then they take helicopters into the basin in Davos. And so I did a whole thing of like, look, everybody's talking about these airplanes, but they also just fly helicopters in too. It's even worse for the environment.
Oh, yeah.
But so anyways, all that being said, the most interesting part I thought about Davos was you'd go into these like houses. They call them houses for the companies and the countries. And we'd like bring that up like, hey, how do you feel about the fact that everybody hears about climate change and they're flying their private jets? I'll tell you, 9 out of 10 people that we talked to were like, oh yeah, we don't believe in any of that. The people that were there at Davos working for the companies that were putting on these houses were like, yeah, we don't buy that. Like,
fascinating.
We don't care. I'm doing a job. Like, and so really, it's this finite group of people because like they pitch it as like this big expansive thing, and all of these people are here, and it is. It's crowded.
Yeah.
But the overwhelming majority of people are like, yeah, I'm here for work. Like, I have to run this house. Like, do you guys want hors d'oeuvres? Like, what like
I'm trying to pay some bills, man.
But that's the thing, right? Is that because the up tops, right? They're like, yeah, we're gonna run with this. But then to make that work, to hire the people that make the rest of these, whether you agree with these policy changes for the World Forum, all that stuff moving forward, it's like, dude, they're people too, right? Mm-hmm. And most of those people probably go, "Yeah, you believe this shit? They're gonna have us eating fucking crickets."
So
I hate crickets, dude.
Most of the people there are like, this is. I don't even know what this is. Like they're dumbfounded. Yeah. And so it's like this finite group of like a couple hundred like elite type people. And what I learned from them, I didn't really talk to much of them, but what I gathered was people talk about, oh, they want to take over the world, and that's true. But I genuinely think that they think they're doing good. Like, I think Klaus Schwab and his whole cabal of World Economic Forum people think that they're doing better for the world. The problem is they fundamentally misunderstand human nature. Like, they're trying to fix all of the problems, which is not possible.
Right.
And they've decided, well, the only way we can fix all the problems is control everything. Yeah. And so that's where it comes from.
Right.
They're not, like, cackling evil James Bond villain people. They're like,
doesn't he look exactly like the James Bond villain?
If you were to design one, he would be exactly what it looks like.
Well, you think it's also too because these people have so much power. No one ever tells them no. I was just having this conversation with somebody.
No.
I mean, of course, I think it was us. Wasn't it us talking about Soros or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But it's like he thinks he's kind of a god, but when you're someone like him who has an absorbent amount of money that I'll never understand or ever have, no one ever tells you no because they're probably trying to get shit from you.
Yeah.
I mean,
nobody ever.
You're
going
to think that you can change the world.
Yeah. Dude, that was a great idea. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
I like you. You're promoted.
Dude, well, this is like kind of but like kind of like a peek behind that whole thing. Like, so like I mentioned at the beginning, I feel like pretty uncomfortable like with attention. Like I think attention is an unfortunate byproduct of what I've liked doing, which is like making jokes about the news. And unfortunately, that's like you have to garner attention for that. Anytime I go do like Fox News, they send a car, which there's a black SUV outside of your house waiting to drive you to the studio and back. That to me is nuts. Like, wow. It's I don't know. It's cool. Weird. Yeah. But there's a lot of people.
Sorry.
It is.
I think it's cool.
It's cool, but I don't know. I'm like, this is like, what's the imposter syndrome? I'm like, this is not me. Like, I'm not like, I'm not supposed to be here. Yeah. But there are people in the industry that's like now normal to them. And so those people have this big heady ego that like, how would you be able to tell that person, no, you can't do something? Correct. Now, multiply that by 100, and now you have the World Economic Forum people, and of course they can.
They're going to think they can change the world.
Yeah,
they have full control.
Yeah.
Who is the one? I don't know if it was Klaus Schwab or was it the? Oh my gosh, I forgot his name. But the whole commentary.
Arnold Palmer.
You have nothing and like it.
Oh, it was their actual like
slogan.
Yeah, it was their 10-point plan. It wasn't worded in the way that we all quote it. It was a terrible quote, and also might have been in German, and then they translated it, and I don't know, but they said that like verbatim of like, hey, like you'll own nothing and it's gonna be great, but they meant it as like, it's gonna be great, and
like you don't have to worry about anything, because you don't own anything. Yeah.
And the normal people were like, what?
Yeah,
dude.
What a unique opportunity that was.
That's
really cool, man. I mean, like, I think it's neat. I would have been like, what?
Were you there for a week?
I was there for a week.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was like on a, I think I got asked to go on a Tuesday and was on a plane on a Friday.
Wow. Like, you must have gotten so much content from that though, man. I mean,
less than you'd think, because
really?
Well, that's the thing is, I did the whole helicopter thing, and that had ended up getting a couple million views, and it was great.
Yeah.
But other than that, we couldn't find the people to disagree with. Like we were doing like man on the streets, and we were like, I would be like, so how do you feel? Like, shove a mic in somebody's face, say, how do you feel about all of these elitists coming in on their private jets and talking about climate change? And then you put the mic to them, and they go, yeah, that's crazy. And I'm like, oh.
That's it? That's all you got?
All right. Well, great.
Anyway.
There was one like they're probably in college, and they were like rich college kids that like their parents financed their whole trip and everything, and they like bought it. They were like, yeah, look, there's like, it's not even snowing here, and like you pan the camera and there's snow everywhere, and you're like, also tangent, whose bright idea was it to have that stupid thing in January in Switzerland? Like, my toes are freezing.
That's
right
cold,
Anyways,
man. That's
That makes the argument that you need a helicopter.
Yeah, there you go. There was one group of kids that were like all bought in, and everyone else is like, yeah, dude, this is all, we agree. This is all nuts.
So when you were there, it's not like when you go, my thought is when someone goes to a like economic forum like that, there's going to be, it's like going to Long Beach Convention Center. Everyone's going to stay around it.
Yeah.
But they all meet at that one center.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how it was, or kind of everyone off to doing their own thing, different meetings?
Imagine, at the Long Beach Convention Center, but several of the streets that lead to the convention center are also like in festival mode.
Okay, got it.
Like that sort of thing. And so, but yeah, I don't know. It's crazy expensive. Like we had to stay like an hour away, and yeah, dude.
You think that's how they keep like the average person out?
What?
That might be why how they can keep the average person out.
Maybe.
You know?
It's a.
I mean, that's expensive, man.
I mean, they I think strategically from a military standpoint, they picked Davos because it's damn near impossible to attack. Like you have all these important people
very
coming,
protected.
and it would be really difficult to like fly a plane in there because you can't physically fly a plane in there, and so you have to like, I don't know, tactically, I guess it makes sense, but yeah, we stayed in like some Lenzerheide, which was a whole other cultural experience. We went to the cinema, which was a dance club on Wednesday night, and nobody arrived until 2 a.m. And it was,
what the heck?
yeah, I don't know, dude. Switzerland people are wild. But
different.
like, yeah, we
actually for quite some time we used to do some stuff where we call like in the streets. We'd go with microphones and just start talking to people. It's so interesting because it's really a shot in the dark with people. You don't know what they're going to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember one time like, hey, so what do you feel about the pandemic and like mask this and mask that? And I put it for the lady. She goes, so my grandma, she died last year of cancer, but she was born in 1942. And I just kind of look over like,
Like, well, okay.
I can't.
Great.
Do I pull the mic from her or just let
I'm
her
very
go?
sorry.
Whatever. I'm not
Have a
going to
great-
use this.
What? Okay. Why do you guys do that? Why do you guys do this podcast?
Why?
I like it. This is great. Like
Yeah.
I'm having a blast. But like
Well, good.
you guys have jobs.
Yeah.
You don't like, I don't know. I guess I do my thing because eventually like, well, it pays. Like this is effectively my job now. I do a bunch of other stuff, but like other than like a hobby, well, it's a pretty cool hobby. I don't know why do you go out on the streets? Why do you talk to people? Why do you do this? What?
Well, I mean, I had an idea to do this podcast for about 6 months, and I talked to Jordan about it because he's, we worked together for a long
extremist?
time.
He's like, I'm bringing him in.
Yeah, this is the guy. No, he could talk to anybody too, but I like inspirational stories. I love history. I read a lot.
Okay.
And so to me, my thought was, you don't need to look to, if you that's fine, but you don't need to look to sports, professional sports players or actors to find inspirational stories. I mean, those are great, but your everyday person is going through life and experience and stuff. Like, just talk to them.
Yeah.
Let's hear what they have to say. Let's give the people a voice. Like, how many other places can, the average person, we can just walk up, hey, you want to come on a podcast?
Yeah.
Then no one ever gets the opportunity to voice their life or things that they've gone through to encourage others. And then I think what are we on, episode 157 now or something like that? We're up there.
We're getting up there.
But yeah, I mean, we're monetized. Do we make big money?
Nice.
No. But we get enough downloads so we qualify for it, so we're doing fine,
Nice.
But I can't tell you how many times that we've got messages or people from, our department, other departments, or I've gone people skydiving that I go skydiving with, they listen to it. It was odd. It's kind of like the same thing with you, right? I was in Target a few months ago and someone goes, hey, let's go podcast. I was like, What? 'Cause we don't even advertise. I was like,
yes.
all right, cool.
Is that not weird to you?
Dude, it is. It's very uncomfortable for me. It's very weird. Our guys will come talk to me that we know, like at work. We acquaintance, right? Because we're a big department, of course. Hey, dude. Hey, you talked about this the other day with this guy, and I was like, oh shit, you were listening to that?
Yeah,
it's weird, dude. It's different.
I don't know how to. I don't know. I'm so bad. It's only happened a handful of times, but like. If I get recognized in an airport, like somebody will be like, "Hey man, like love the show, this and that and the other thing,"
Yeah.
and then we'll take a picture and like, I'll stand there and talk to him and end up talking about 45 minutes about landscaping or something. Yeah. And like I don't know how to end the conversation. I don't know how to be like, "Okay, thanks," and then leave. Like it's just I feel like I don't know.
I think that's part of probably why your popularity in that field is because of that, because that's a human trait. Right, your ability to be able to talk to people where it's not like and that stature, whatever, like, and I'm not saying that like if you enjoy talking to people and you like that and you're intrigued by that and because you're a human being of that ability, right? People are going to be drawn to that because that's not everybody. Not everyone can just walk up and have a conversation right out of the gate, and like that's why when Tim asked me to come and do this, and in all honesty, I absolutely was on board because I had originally wanted to do a fantasy football podcast because I love football like crazy.
Yeah.
But that didn't work out. So when he hit me up, it was kind of out of nowhere, and I'm like, dude, yes, absolutely. And it's been so much fun in that aspect of getting people on here to just talk about who they are and get a chance to like in all honesty. Half the time, maybe 20 minutes of like, where are you from? We get past the kind of initial portion, and then we might be talking about aliens, or we're talking about, conspiracy stuff, or or politics, or other things like that. And it's just, it's fun. I think long term. I mean, obviously, dude, yeah, absolutely. If we can get paid one day to do this, like to supplement income, absolutely. It's one of the most fun things to do, just to talk to people in that atmosphere. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we keep doing it. I like doing it.
People are listening. It's cool. I mean, we're downloaded around the world. I'm like, I tell these guys, I have no idea how some of these people are getting this. I have no clue.
Yeah, you're like, India
like,
went up by 5%.
Dude, yeah, India's way up, and then Spain, and now Australia's starting to climb. I'm like, how the fuck?
Why? Well, that's what I think. People are like, oh yeah, I love your show. I'm like, why? Like, do you have nothing better to do? Like, what is?
But dude, it's so cool. Like when people give us feedback. They're like, hey, you had this girl on, or this guy, and like I had no idea someone was struggling with that. Like I struggled with that. I thought I was alone. Mm-hmm. We did a recent one where we just talked about I had a recent loss kind of in my family, and it hit me pretty hard, and I called these guys and told them like, hey, I'm having a hard time right now. Mm-hmm. Like I'm pretty messed up. Like there's a lot going on, and just having this community or our podcast group. I mean, I have a team. I have an editor. I got these guys. Sam operates the cameras. Like we do monthly reviews. Like it just flows now. It's so great, but it's also brought in this great tight knit friendship with all of us now for the past 3 years. Like I've known Sam since second grade. I've known him for 16 years. A lot of these people, our editor, he's an actual professional sound guy who's been on tour with different bands. He does it for TV. I've known him since fourth grade. It's really cool how it all kind of came back together. But to know that, just what we're doing is encouraging people, to me is worth its weight in gold, because life is hard. Like I tell people right now, I don't care who you are, how much money you have, life is a struggle. It can be a real bitch sometimes. And you feel alone. And I've been in that place where you feel like you have no one, you can't talk to anybody. So that's why I want to talk to people. We want to bring everybody on here and chat with them. I don't care if you're gay, straight, if you're Democrat, Republican, let's just talk. Let's figure it out, because I believe the art of conversation is being lost. People are too stuck on the phones, and you might see it now. We see it a lot with newer hires coming in, younger ages. I mean, we're only 37 years old, but dude, they can't talk or conversate. And for us and the career field that we're in right now, we have to be a people person. You have to be able to deal with everybody, dude. It's wild. Like, it doesn't matter if the person has schizophrenia or person's depressed or super happy or they're just involved in a crazy car accident. Like, you have to be able to handle their emotions, control their family, get them to the right hospital, make these decisions. There's a lot, and we're not seeing that too much anymore with kind of younger generations, So that's why, I mean, maybe it's just because our job or what we do, but that's kind of why we do the podcast. That's why our slogan is we talk with ordinary people living extraordinary lives. Like, be inspired by a story. You don't know what someone's going through unless you just talk to them.
I like that tagline.
Yeah. Inspiration, dude.
I'll say I'm not a big fan of I shouldn't say this because I do it a lot. Doing like TV segments.
Gotcha.
Like if I go on Newsmax, I go on Newsmax quite a bit, and I like them. I have no problem with any of the people over there.
Yeah.
But that short form, like, I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to talk for 30 seconds, and then I'm going to do something else.
Dude.
It's like, okay, so how do you, like, is that how people take in information constantly? Like, I like the transition, hopefully, to, like, longer form.
There was a study that I had read in a science journal. I can't remember which one it was, but it was saying, like, it broke it down from the 60s to 70s, 70s, 80s, 90s. How it used to be, okay, people's attention span, there was no real television or cell phones, right? So the attention span was like, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
People can sit down and they would have a drink, and there's no phones, there's no TVs, and you would conversate and talk for the night. Then it keeps moving on through the years, and you see it climbing down with TV, with people, fast food. It's amazing. They even said fast food had an impact on that. We started having that society where it's this. We need it now. We need to go quicker and quicker. To now, they're saying the attention span of people is like, they said it's down to like 30 seconds, dude.
Dude, yeah.
I'm like, what?
I absolutely believe it.
This is so
Look,
crazy.
every one of us probably has Instagram right on their phones right now.
Oh, yeah.
How long do you look at a picture or a video? Literally as long as the video is on. And sometimes I won't even wait, even though it says on there, wait to the end. I'm like, I know what's going to happen.
You gotta say the spiciest thing in the first 5 seconds, or else nobody's gonna pay attention.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why Bill Clinton is an alien or whatever.
Lizard person.
Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah. Forward to everyone I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good time.
Do you think he's a lizard person? I think he's a lizard person.
100%.
100%.
Are there people that don't think he's a lizard
I don't know,
person?
but I was like him, Zuckerberg, maybe Pelosi.
Well, people
Maybe.
show videos of Biden, and they focus on his earlobes. Sometimes they're pulled back. Sometimes they're attached. Sometimes they're looped.
Yeah, that's the body double.
That's what I'm thinking, dude.
Yeah, that's the body double.
Yeah.
But okay. I'll sound crazy because I wasted too much time. But dude, there's a lot of videos that aren't like. And now look, I guess they could be doctored. It could be. Hey, I don't know. CGI can put it out there that I look like me. You know what I mean? But there's ones where it's like national pressers, where you're like, oh shit, dude, his earlobes are normal. And I'm like, why am I focusing on his earlobes, not listening to what he's supposed to be talking about, which is hard enough in itself. But
Well, dude, I think his plastic surgeon should be fired, dude. He looks like he's going 1,000 miles an hour all the time now, dude. His skin is so stretched back. When he pulls his his aviators off, you're like, dude, are you in a jet plane right now? Like, dude, he's so pulled back.
do you guys know who Jeff Dunham is?
Yeah.
The comedian with the puppets. He looks exactly like
looks
his old man puppet.
Yeah, he does.
Like, exactly.
Yeah.
And I forgot the name of it, but
That guy's
The grumpy old guy.
Yeah.
I feel like that's there's such a nuanced thing. You like at one point you want to make fun of all that stuff because you have to, because he's the leader of the free world. Like I don't want to make fun of somebody with dementia. Like that's not cool. Like I don't like that.
Right.
But when you're the most powerful person on the planet, you kind of have to. But at the same time, there's a part of me, the I guess more America first patriotic part of me, that wants his staff to hide it better. Because while it's good for the American people to know, I don't want China knowing that this goofball.
Yes, that's a good point, dude.
Like I don't.
You're right.
Regardless of how you feel about the internal domestic politics, like you should always want the United States to convey strength, regardless of who's in office.
You should. You got to hold your cards tight, right?
Yeah.
You need to. Okay, good example is when he said, I believe it was Biden. He said, we don't have enough missiles right now if we had to go to war. I'm like, yo,
Don't
dude.
say that.
Do not say that on national television.
Like,
are you insane?
And it would be one thing if there was like a solid number 2, but it's like Kamala Harris. Dude, she had to drop out of the presidential race before the first caucus.
Oh, I know.
Nobody in her own party likes her.
Oh, man.
It's like
terrible.
with that whole like Biden being old, like I'm all about jabbing the guy who I don't like, who is inflicting pain on my life, but also like, I don't want other countries to see weakness as much as they currently do.
right. As an American citizen, it's like, okay, he's the president.
Yeah.
I'm over it now. Like, I may not agree with all that stuff, but one thing exactly. I wanted him to at least convey, like, we're the shit.
Yeah.
Don't mess with us. we got everything in control. Whatever that is. I want that to be the visual of every other country looking at us at all times. Like, oh, don't turn your back on them. They'll mess you up. Or don't mess them over because they're going to come get you. I feel like him as a representative makes us look weak in general. And that's unfortunate to say. And whether it's because he's super old or been in the game for too long or whatever, it's just unfortunate. And there's so much shit that happens where you're like, oh my God, dude, you fell again.
Yeah.
You misread the teleprompter again. You've been in politics for 60 years and you forgot. You said period stop.
Yeah.
Like,
end of
come
line.
on. And then it was like, whew. You're like, now the only thing that he has going for him in this way is that as a society, we are on a 30-second loop. And that's the only thing that really gets him. Because, I mean, dude, like you go back with the 5th time that he's fallen down. And I'm not saying to make fun of someone for falling down, but the national interest would be, is he healthy? Mm-hmm. Can he, like, hey guys, like doesn't seem like it's going very good for him. Like, dude, he's our number one per se, if you will. Yeah. Maybe we should look into this. And like everyone would be like, yeah, that's important. But because we're like, oh, dude, you see this tuna recipe? Sick. I watch a lot of food stuff. I'm like really into cooking and stuff. But anyway, but yeah, and it's too bad. But, we only have a couple more years, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I said this. I walked into work one day, and, in our job career field, we're actually mandated reporters, right? So if we see child abuse, elder abuse, like, we need to report it, right? I walked in, I was like, hey. I said, how come you guys didn't report that elder abuse yesterday? Like, what? I'm like, who's going to call in for Biden and tell him this is the worst elder abuse of all time being displayed on national television, dude? Of course, they all bust up laughing, but I tell them, like, you're seeing the worst elder abuse ever. It's just really it's happening right there. It's Weekend at Bernie's, dude.
Well, there's the famous Obama quote when he was running for president, when Biden was running for president. He was like, Joe, you don't have to do this. Because at the time, in 2020 or 2019, Obama he recognized it. This is not gonna go well.
Right. It says don't look past the ability for Joe to F things up.
There's that. Yeah, that one. Yeah. Don't. Yeah.
That was a real quote, and that seemed very real. It was a real statement to me, and I'm like, but that guy won, and 82 million votes actually.
Yeah.
Here's one question 100%. I do want to ask you before we wrap this up, but. Okay, with all these indictments of Trump, especially this new one in Georgia, do you think it's actually helping him in the next presidential race? Or not even? Because I think what they're doing, they have no idea it's going to bolster his numbers.
I think they know that. I genuinely think the Democratic establishment knows that. So it's such a weird relationship that Trump and Biden have. Mm-hmm. Like, if you want to look at it from a national polling standpoint, and depending on what candidates are the most polarizing, Joe Biden needs Donald Trump to run because Donald Trump is possibly the only person on the Republican side that Joe Biden can beat. Like, Joe Biden loses to every single other candidate, and it's not even close. Donald Trump, given the polarization that he has, the only person on the Democratic side that he can beat is Joe Biden. So they both kind of need to run against each other. And so the establishment side would say, hey, like, dude, the Manhattan indictment, and not to get into the weeds on what the indictments are, the Manhattan indictment is just bull. Like, it's nonsense.
It's trash, dude.
Well, it's a campaign finance violation. I've had to pay campaign finance violation fines. Like, Obama had to. Everybody makes a mistake on their paperwork. And that's effectively what it is. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not illegal to pay somebody to not say something. Right. Now, if it came out of your campaign finance, like, I guess that's a problem. In theory, but it's a $500 fine. Like, anyways, that's nonsense.
Right.
The federal indictment that came down with Jack Smith and the special counsel, like, that's you have to prove what he knew which regardless of if you're Donald Trump, if you're any average day person, it is so difficult to prove intent, like, without concrete evidence. And the Georgia indictment is the same exact thing, effectively. And you have the issue of some of the defendants in some of the indictments are witnesses in other indictments, and vice versa. So it's just a whole cluster of just craziness that doesn't mean anything. Now, I actually do think he has some legal problems in the Mar-a-Lago case. Like, that's one of those where, like, a lot of the time Trump is like, sick, dude. Like, go ham. We're all about it.
Right.
And then there's that fraction of the time where you're like, dude, like, take your foot out of your mouth. Like, don't. What?
Right.
That's one of those. Like, why didn't you just give the documents back? Like,
Yeah.
why didn't you? Why did you keep them? Mm-hmm. But so all of that's to say is, I think Democrats are betting on the fact that they can beat him. With the way the economy is, with the way the country is going, with the popularity polling on Biden, Harris, and any of the other Democrats, they know they lose to every single person on that ticket. The best chance they have is beating Donald Trump.
Gotcha.
And that's what, not to say that that's the reason for the indictments, but like, I think I did a thing the other day of like, the Georgia indictment is like, we're going to have a mugshot of him. And like, do you have any idea what a mugshot would do? He would raise $100 million in an afternoon. Like,
We're signing him.
It'll be on a T-shirt. It'll be on billboards everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, look at they made me do a mugshot. Like,
Well,
and they know they're not stupid.
is his indictment numbers up to? Isn't he in the 90s now?
So that's the charges, yeah. So he's been indicted 4 times, and the charges are like 91.
Yeah.
and is a potential to serve like 750 years in prison.
Right, but that's what. But like,
So crazy.
every time
It's
this
so
happens,
crazy.
it just bolsters his own popularity, and it's something for him to talk about. Like if he hits triple digits, can you imagine the T-shirts that are coming out? He's like 100 no. 2024, baby. You know, the undefeated champ of indictments.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's very interesting. It's super confusing that it keeps getting propagated this way, but I feel like that makes a lot of sense, right? Is because both ends of the party spectrum have something here where
Yeah.
they're like, we can't lose this guy because we'll probably get destroyed by a couple other good candidates from, you know, the Republican side or vice versa, right? So it is kind of interesting to see how it all plays out. And I don't know. I'm just curious to see what the total vote numbers are after the next election. That's what I'll be interested in.
In theory, we can have a general election of both Joe Biden and Donald Trump running from prison. Like,
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
it's not really
both of them,
like,
right?
It's not. It's, you know, the likelihood is like close to 0.
Yeah.
But like, there's a possibility Donald Trump wouldn't actually go to prison just because it would be logistically impossible. But he'd, you know, be under house arrest or something like that if one of these things went the wrong way. But there's no rules that say you can't run for president from prison.
Right.
And there's no rules that
Right.
say you can't serve as president until you pardon yourself.
Yeah,
Like,
I was having that conversation with a friend who's
There's
dude. They were so worked up. No, if he's in prison, he can't do it. I'm like, what rules there? There's no
Dude,
rule that says
imagine.
he can't be the president from prison.
dude, there's so many things that are just like out of whack. Like, I mean, dude, yeah. And there are some things that are like, yeah, dude, I wish he didn't handle that way. But the guy's made a career of being treated unfairly, like by the media, by just everybody. Like the impeachments, he got impeached for trying to expose something that Joe Biden was doing.
Right.
Like, hold on, and he got impeached. Now that's a bad example because I think more presidents should get impeached more often, but that's beside the point. But yeah, dude, the guy's like,
But
he's
just
winning
in that
because of
though,
it.
that's the big picture problem is that like what is it, 5 years ago, Ukraine was like one of the most corrupt places known to existence because of the linkage with Donald Trump and the perfect phone call.
Yeah.
Right? Just read the transcripts. But now we're 120 bill into this, right? And you have people here putting Ukraine flags on their flag because you stand. And I'm not saying war is okay, and I'm not advocating for Russia at all, and I do not want to see that. But it is very interesting that we can flip on ourselves instantaneously, depending on how it's perceived.
Yeah.
And that's why this is so interesting, because it's constantly changing.
I think conservatives should start doing some social experiments of like advocating. Like, I love the videos of like, hey, what did you think about when Donald Trump said this? And then they'll read a quote and they'll be like, oh, I hated it. And like, oh, that was actually Obama in 2010.
yes. I love those videos.
love those.
Dude, so good.
Like, and then vice versa. Like, what did you, like, you talk to a Trump person. What did you think when Trump said this? And it's an Obama quote. Like, that goes to show you like how fast things turn on a dime.
Yeah.
And in this crazy ass political climate.
Dude, absolutely.
Yeah, we're living in wild times, man. But Jobob, thank you so much for coming on the podcast,
thanks
dude.
for having
I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be here and just chat.
Dude, this was
a good
fun.
time.
I'd like to do this again. If you have, honestly, bring my wife and talk about crazy people in jails.
You know,
like, I'm
we
sure you guys
actually
would actually like.
what was
Yes,
the lady's name that
absolutely.
came on here? Remember her? She's moving back down,
on
by
the
the way.
spot like that?
She quit. By the she quit
Oh,
the.
okay.
Yeah,
It's like,
she,
I don't-
she works for the prison system.
The lady with the arms?
the hair,
Breeze
from here to
hair.
here.
She's like an amputee and she doesn't actually have arms. I would feel so bad.
No,
do
it'd be
wanna
cool.
bring that up,
She was.
but, yeah,
She's
no.
like a doctorate in like, whatever. At least a therapist that that works there. She actually finally resigned. It's really cool. She hit me up. She's like, "Hey, I left. Now I can really talk about everything full blast."
go nuts.
They just moved back the last week.
Yeah.
I think I scheduled her for like 2 weeks out or something like that.
Dope.
But you're welcome on here anytime, man. We can do a conspiracy theory one. But
Please.
yeah, dude, thank you for just chatting with us and having such a good time, man. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to us. We've been doing this for a while, and it's just really rad to have you on here, dude. You're a good dude, man.
Hey, man.
Appreciate you.
it.
Yeah, thank you so
Thanks.
much. And it's like, I don't know, it's such an awesome thing. And you've been talking about just doing this podcast. This scenario, I probably would never have run into you otherwise.
Yeah.
And I love that you like conspiracy stuff. It's super.
Yeah, I know.
And yeah,
I
please.
gotta get to some more feasible ones because there are some like I like the birds aren't real and the Earth is flat one, but like there are some things where I'll read into it and I'll go, oh, that's legit, and then I'll forget.
We
So
go
I'll
hard
try
in
to
the
remember
paint on JFK stuff. I am
Oh, dude.
overtly fascinated
Yeah.
with all of that
how the
stuff.
Teamsters killed JFK.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
I was like, dude, oh man. No, dude, thank you so much. It's been awesome. And yeah, this
Thanks.
is rad.
Appreciate it. Cool.
Sam.
Yeah, dude. It's been dope.
Oh, he's talking. He's talking.
I was waiting for you to come in more. Because like you see, I see him out of the corner of my eye, like nodding. I'm like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, man. No, what I love that you said is just when you're a communist in your own house. I love that because if you mind your own and you do the best for yourself, and everybody does that, then the world would be amazing. Really. Because we're all,
No problems.
because it's me first.
Yeah.
And then you first, and you first, and you first. So yeah, I love that. Dude, that's how I live my life. And something that I love is like when I do that, then the people around me kind of act the same way. So it's almost like, if we keep, you do this podcast and we all talk and we all have the same way of thinking, we kind of continue to promote it.
Yeah.
And we promote the people that are on here that continue to do that also.
Yeah.
And the people that listen to us, and it just spreads like wildfire, dude.
Yeah, man.
I love that, dude. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Sweet. He speaks.
Sam.
That is Sam Komalafe, everybody.
Yeah, baby.
Master's degree, baby. Let's go. Let's do it. And we also have we got some gifts for you downstairs, dude. Just to say thanks for coming by and challenge coin and some
I
shirts.
appreciate it. You guys live around here? Obviously, you live here.
Yeah,
Correct.
I live
Should I have
in
said
this
that?
place.
Currently.
I was gonna say I was trying to think of any shows. I got a comedy show in Fallbrook, but that's probably pretty much.
No, I'll be there.
That's a hike.
Nah, because I surf and skydive down there all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I surf down there.
I guess
at,
that's not too far away from Vista.
no, it's not far at all. Yeah, I surf
Alright,
down
well-
there at Church's Santa, and then I go skydive at Oceanside. I'm right there all the time.
So
I was down there
people
today surfing.
Listening, we have a show in Fallbrook, comedy show in Fallbrook on the 23rd of September. But also, yeah, if you guys want to come, I'll give you tickets.
Dude,
Like,
absolutely.
we'll-
That's my family's well from Temecula. So
Oh,
this is still
go,
all the way
dude.
out.
Yeah, dude.
man.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Say that. When's the date? When is that?
September 23rd.
September 23rd.
Yeah.
Love it, dude.
The Fallbrook Mission Theater, which is, I don't know. Could be a lot of people there. Could be just you guys.
Hey,
Who knows?
Guess what? We're still gonna have a great time,
We're gonna have
dog.
fun, dude. Don't even worry about that.
Sweet.
Yeah, we have a good time, but yeah, man, we're gonna have you back on. Seriously,
Awesome,
this is
man.
gonna be great. So
Appreciate
we should do. Let's go on 3 at the end. So you ready?
Yeah.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Let's
go.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for listening in. If you liked what you just listened to, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast and on Spotify. Please follow us on YouTube, on Instagram, and on Facebook. And a big shout out to Stephen Clark, our sound editor. He's a huge part of this team that is unseen. It's 89 Barbers, our first sponsor. Look good, feel good, be great. That's 2 locations, Orange, California and Long Beach, California. Book your appointment online, 89barbers.com. Bye, everybody.